Prabhu and Subramaniam Prabhu, and they are going to Puri on 10th July.
10th of July. They have not gone for the Rath Yatra.
No, but they will be visiting later.
They are
Hmm.
going in a return Rath Yatra.
Mhm. Oh, we have Manu Prabhu who has just joined. Hare Krishna, Manu Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Shri Prabhupada. So, Manu Prabhu and Baladev Vidyabhusan Prabhu and all of them have accomplished something very much amazing, serving 10,000 plates of prasadam.
Yes, Prabhu, it was huge.
Honestly, it was by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, we had the opportunity. Um, at first, Baladev, he was offered the opportunity to cook for at least 500 people, and then somehow or other, the guy who was arranging the event, he had so much trust in Baladev. He's like, "Can you do 10,000?" And then Baladev said, "Yes, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, I can."
He asked you to do 2,000% what you were supposed to do. You're supposed to do 500 and finally you did 10,000. So it's a 2,000% increase. Very nice. You all pulled it off. Wow, that must have been really, I mean, you must have collapsed after that, right?
It was. I wasn't there for the cooking. I wish I was, but he wanted me to save the energy for the book distribution. But a
Mm.
lot of people in our congregation was there. It was four, at least 10 people from our congregation who were helping, and
Mm.
very much so. They worked very very hard. Um,
Yeah.
Baladev, he was telling how the volunteer on the owner the temple he wanted to bring volunteers over, at least 20, just to help out. They didn't show up.
All 20 of them.
No, they didn't show up. Except at the end, it was around like seven more people that came in. So 7 out of 20.
Yeah. When everything was finished.
Just about. And Baladev was like, I don't know how he did. I really don't.
Yeah. That is amazing. You know, in Singapore, I don't think any of you has been, yeah, none of you has been to Singapore Rath Yatra. But this is the amount of cooking of plate. Of course, there's more varieties. You know, they do a few subjis, they do sweets and so on. But that's the cooking that they do normally. You know, it goes between 10 to almost 15,000 people that come in that one evening at the Rath Yatra. So, and the arrangement that has to be done for that is tremendous. You know, I mean, we are, dozens of devotees engaged in the cooking department, and we have to rent a separate kitchen in a restaurant outside the temple. Uh, and we cut the vegetables the day before. We prepare sweets 2 3 days before. So the whole thing is so huge. And so when you Baladev Prabhu said 10,000, I was thinking, because I see what it is, and I was thinking, how did they manage this? They're only like what, three full-time devotees, four maybe, and I was thinking, wow. Of course, we did more simplified, but still, it's huge quantity.
Yeah, it was simplified. Very much so. The main dish was going to be uh, tamarind rice, but somehow or other, Krishna said it would be uh, what was it, custard rice, because very much so. The cooking and everything, it wasn't going the way that it should, so it got shifted to custard rice.
Yeah,
It was pretty
it's
good though.
good knowing how to adapt when things don't work out fully. That's good. That's the sign of a good cook. All right, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, these are the moments actually where we can. Actually, my experience is this: is that the moments when we push ourselves so much that the body is barely holding, it's really when you kind of become a bit disconnected from bodily connection. Things just start. The body just goes on, and you feel like you're behind it. And the body just keeps going, and you're just an observer. You really start to separate yourself. And the times that of course I don't have much experience in all of this. I'm fairly new also to Krishna consciousness, in the sense that I'm not I'm not counting decades, right? I'm yet to count one decade. But the times that I've experienced the most intense service was Rath Yatra festival in Singapore, and Janmashtami also is pretty intense, but Rath Yatra is much more because everything is done with such a small team, and it's just there's no consideration of yourself. And I've seen things amazing. And the Prabhus in Singapore, they are just spiritual machines. Mahaprabhu, Pavan Prabhu, Talvavit Prabhu, Subala Prabhu, they're all just going and going and going. And I remember when I was a new Bhakta in Singapore, I would just couldn't understand. I was thinking how these people do. They don't even take rest, and it just goes. At one point, Pavaneshwar Prabhu, he's in charge of the whole kitchen. So, and how they do is that they start preparing for the prasadam, the day before, and they go to bed around 11, and then they must wake up at 1:30 in the morning. Okay, and then throughout the whole day they don't sleep, and then the unpacking, because the same night when the festival is finished, you must bring all the tents and everything and bring back all. So it finishes around 2 a.m. So in 50 hours or so, you had only 2 hours of sleep, and you never stop. So I've seen things, like one time when the whole day was finished. We do it in a stadium in Singapore because we cannot do it in the streets, because they have a lot of laws. Actually, Singapore is very strict when it comes to religious festivals and all. So we do it in a stadium, on the running tracks like this. The three chariots go around. And I remember it was getting really late. Towards the end, we have to pack all the things, and it was like getting near 1 a.m. And I just saw Pavaneshwar Prabhu. He was walking on the track, and he just went. He just collapsed, and started to sleep there on the track. And he slept like for maybe 5 minutes like this, and then he stood up again and continued. So these are the type of services that really impress me, and we all do it. It's just we go on, and then somehow you'll be like sitting down in a chair, and then you start the feet, and then you fall asleep like 10 minutes, and then you again and you continue. But these are the moments really that you start to realize. I wanted to choose today's topics as what are the proofs that this is true, that this whole thing that we're doing is true. How can we be certain? I mean, we're against everyone, right? And we're against of course, the atheists, whatever philosophy they have, whether it be, philanthropism or atheism or simply YOLO, enjoy your senses. We're against all of them. Then we're against most religionists also, because they'll all be saying, you must surrender to Lord Jesus. No, you must surrender to Prophet Muhammad and this, or you must go through Buddha only. So we're against all of them. Then we're against spiritualists, the Mayavad, the impersonalists. They tell us, no, God is impersonal. So truly speaking, we're the smallest group. And not only are we against the impersonalists, we even starting to be against the personalists, other groups of devotees who are deviating from the real philosophy, So we are the smallest group in the universe. So how can we be convinced when we're the smallest? There's not many of us. So that what I'm saying now is one of the proofs that can be experienced, but this can only be experienced. It cannot be said. You cannot pull that as an argument against someone, or you You cannot tell them, well, if you come and do Rath Yatra, and you'll experience it. It's just something that has to be realized. Hare Krishna, Yapa Prabhu, please accept.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Oh, glory to
Prabhupada.
Prabhupada.
So we were discussing service during Rath Yatra festival in Singapore, and how actually this is also one of the proof of that this Krishna consciousness is real, because there is no way that someone can pull off what the devotees in Singapore do materially, on a material level. It's just not possible. There must be some other energy that runs the show, otherwise how can you pull it off? And even why I started to speak about this, because I congratulated Manu Prabhu and his team for the 10,000 meals distributed. So you won't see any materialist work as hard as devotees. They cannot do it. Of course, the greatest example is our spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace, that in his 70s, turning 80s, he would sleep only 2 hours and nonstop, going around the world. You find me one more personality like this. I give you all the history books and you search. You'll never find an old man doing this. It's not possible. So when we get into situations where the service is just nonstop, you don't have 1 second to stop, then you really start to understand what it means to be immersed in spiritual energy. You're just floating in it. Everything that's going on is just spirit, spirit, spirit. And these moments are really when you taste it. My father used to tell me that, because my father joined in early 80s, in 83. And he had also stories like this, especially about the Rath Yatra festival. I think Rath Yatra festival is the most exhausting in all these concentras, all temples. So he used to tell me how once he actually cut all vegetables for the Rath Yatra festival single-handedly. He did it alone. And why is that? He thought, instead of cutting very early in the morning, which is of course not very intelligent, but what he did, he came the day before, like very early, and the whole day of cutting, he just cut an entire day of cutting potatoes and carrots and this, and so he did it all, and he didn't even tell the devotees. So when they came the morning, they saw all the vegetables cut. So my father used to tell me that his hands, he had, how do you call those, those pimple filled with anyway, you know what I mean, right? When you use your hand too much, it starts to
Yes, Prabhu. I also remember, Prabhu. I think
blisters.
most of the time, uh, especially if you are making, even I'll say my first, first thing that happened to me when I started kitchen services, that for a Sunday feast, they gave me about like 2 kilos to 3 kilos of ginger, and I need to peel it, and I need to take it. So what I was actually doing is that they used to put on the kitten, and all the devotees will be doing services. So I used to forget myself, and instead of peeling the ginger, I'll be peeling my finger.
Yeah. Right.
And and after some minutes only, oh, I have peeled my finger. So automatically what I will do, I won't stop it. I'll just go out, wash it, put the bandage, because always I used to have a bandage till now. Any festivals there, any festival, any important festival and temples there, I always have some 10 to 12 set of bandage, band-aid like that I'll have.
Yeah.
So if something I got, I
So
just wash it and I just cut it and just continue.
all of these are activities of the body.
Yes, yes. Then another
And
thing is that now recently I made I myself and I think Prithu Prabhu and Mahalakshmi Mataji, I mean his wife. We three people we made a khichdi prasadam for about 850 people. You know, we just three people. We just three
mm,
people. We I think we started the preparation of in before one day, and everything we did. We have settled everything. Then the morning, if you see, we took after chanting Mangalarti, we bought and we started. and we just pray to Krishna. Okay, we'll start like this. Then say, So we'll beginning with a very big vegetable. I took a big pumpkin, and I just said Hari Bol. I took a big knife, and I break the. Attempted to break the pumpkin, but I did not. But without knowing, I just kept my finger, my left hand finger on the pumpkin. So again, it got broke. I mean, I mean,
You cut
just the bone is escaped. Whole muscle it became broke. Then
so
I
what
became
you
fainted and I have fallen down. I mean, I became fainted and fallen down. I actually I think for first half an hour I was I was feeling that I'm shaking myself. Like that. It was happening to me. So after that, that Mataji, she started to scream, seeing blood, and I just fell down. So she took her sari and she, torn out and, as
when
dipped
was
in the
this?
water. As Prabhu.
When was this?
This was, I think, this year only. I mean, uh, before, I mean, now it's July. I think
Mhm.
uh, I think yes,
So
after Gaura Purnima, I think after or
mm,
before Gaura Purnima,
yeah,
we
so
may.
you see already you're very young and you already have experiences like this. So what we speak,
Yes, Prabhu. Then
devotees
after
who have
I fainted,
significant.
the Mataji, she took the sari cloth, and and she have tied it, and still no, I can't for 1 hour. I mean, I broke my finger in early morning 4:10 a.m. When we three people only there, no helpers, nothing.
Mm.
Then we are in a remote village. No one is nearby to help. You know. So he called some of his relatives to buy some bandage from a very to go to that hospital. It's like 5 kilometers or 6 kilometers,
Well, we have to
whichever
be
went like
careful
that.
also. Suffering
Yes,
is not
Prabhu.
always good
Yes,
for
yes, yes.
spiritual ascension.
Then they brought and they tied me. Then Prabhu said that we will do something. You take some rest. Then I try to take rest, but I can't sleep. You know because morning 8:30 it's offering time. We need to, and morning 9 o'clock we need to keep in the we need to go for distribution. So I just woke up again and I started to cook, and as soon as done, I just drank more water and I just started to cook, you know, and we cook, successfully we cooked, but we did not do that, that frying, frying of spices and pouring on that thing. So when we started to fry, I think some of the bhaktas, we saw the video. I shared with him in person. I can't post in the group. It was so funny. Actually, what I did is that, so we are going to finish the cooking. So I just took my phone and and I took the vessel. The vessel is an aluminum vessel, and the vessel I poured lot of I did not pour ghee, any oil, nothing. Just on the flame I took the vessel, and I was searching my phone, and I took my phone and I started to take my camera video. So I took the some ghee or oil something, and I started to say Hare Krishna, like that. I started to as well as I was recording and I was pouring the oil or ghee something. Then what happened means the fire went to my face.
Well,
you know
Prabhu, you have to be careful also.
yes, yes,
What I'm
yes. Then it
speaking
became
about
to
is
my
also.
face. Then then the pot fully became black, Prabhu. Then I got a hole on the pot also.
Hmm. Yeah. So
Yes. So like
so
this,
these
many
are
many things
stories,
happen.
to
Yes.
get. So okay, I think we can start with the topic today. So which is how do we know if what proof is there that bhakti to Lord Krishna is the goal of life? Okay. So all right. So first of all, this is what I was saying earlier, is that we are very few in number, that and we're standing against everybody else. Actually, in the Sat Sandarbha of Srila Jiva Goswami defeats absolutely everyone, and he starts from the Mayavad. He starts from the impersonalist or the atheist even, and he builds his way up like this. This is the Satsandarbha. In the beginning, he defeats everyone, and then he comes all the way to the absolute truth. So basically, he does the whole. He defeats all the philosophies of the universe, and then he establishes Krishna as the supreme personality of Godhead. Of course, Srila Jiva Goswami, one of the six Goswami, we try to follow in his footsteps. But my point is that we should try to become expert also in defeating other philosophies. So Srila Jiva Goswami starts like this by defeating the Mayavad, and the way he does that is through Adhikaranyas. So Adhikaranyas or they're called Vedic syllogism. So the way that it works is that first of all, he will put forward his thesis. You've heard these words, right? Thesis, antithesis, synthesis. Okay. So he puts forward his thesis, saying, for example, okay, we are not this body. And then he will put immediately a doubt to that thesis, to that statement. Okay, so first is a statement, then is a doubt concerning that statement. So for example, okay, you're not this body, then, well, you're saying I'm not this body, but I see that, I'm feeling that this is me. And when people die, I see their body are decomposed, and these people are not there anymore. So it seems that consciousness and the gross body are not separate. So that would be the doubt. And then there is the so that's the doubt. Then the counter argument based on Shastra. So he will pull out a verse that would seem to show that, let's say, we are this body. In this example, I'm using the body example, but there's different argument. So he will pull out a verse from the Vedas that one could misinterpret, saying that we are the body. Okay. So in this way, his statement, then a doubt concerning his statement, a counter argument, an argument against his statement, and then he will bring in the Siddhanta or the synthesis. Okay. So first part is the thesis. The third and the second and third step are the antithesis. It goes against his statement. And then the fourth and fifth are the synthesis. So the fourth is from the Vedic scripture. He will defeat the counter, the antithesis. And then the fifth, he will reinforce that with another verse or other argument in this way. So although it's 5 steps, it can be separated into 3. So thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. Synthesis means it gets together in harmony. So although there seems to be opposition with the thesis and the antithesis, you can bring them together in harmony within the synthesis, and that's basically the Siddhanta. So that's how he built his Satsandarbha. In other words, he's putting his statement, then he's defeating his statement as if he was the opponent, and then again he's defeating himself. So in other words, he has already done the job for you. You cannot argue with him because he's finding the best argument you can find, and then he's defeating that argument. You see, so that's why Srila Jiva Goswami is seen as the highest scholar, because you cannot even argue against him, because he's already found a better argument than you can put forward, and he's defeated that already. So this is how he's building his Satsandarbha, and he starts from Mayavad or even maybe Nirvishesha, Buddhist, and he goes to Mayavad in this way, and he builds his way up, and then he comes and he defeats even other Vaishnava schools. As I was saying, we are even against other Vaishnavas sometimes. So he defeats other Vaishnava schools because, for example, the Sri Sampradaya, they say that Lord Krishna comes from Vishnu and not the other way around. So he defeats that. He establishes Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then, from there, he goes into the different rasas, and he builds his way all the way up to Parakya Rasa, serving the Lord in separation. So basically, he touches everything in the universe. He defeats everything and he builds it. So today's topic touches a little bit this, in the sense that what are the proofs that we are right, and also that's going to be helping us to preach. Hmm. Okay, so we can start. There's a good verse that I've read recently, and it's a very long purport. We won't need to be reading the whole purport, but okay, let me share this with you. Tab. Okay, can you see the tab? Can you see this? Okay.
Yes, Prabhu.
Who would so this is Bhagavatam 4.2.31. Who would like to read this?
4231. The Veda translation. The Vedas give the eternal regulative principles for auspicious advancement in human civilization, which have been rigidly followed in the past. In the past, the strong evidence for this principle is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose who is called Janardana, the well-wisher of all living entities.
Okay. So for us, okay, of course, the Vedas is the actual evidence. Okay. So the Vedas give the eternal regulative principles for auspicious advancement in human civilization. So if there's no auspicious advancement, that would show that the Vedas are not actually correct. But if one accepts the Vedic path in his life, then there should be auspicious advancement in human civilization. Okay. And then, which have been rigidly followed in the past. And what is the strong evidence? It is the Supreme Personality of Godhead Himself. So our basis of everything is actually Krishna. It's actually God, the Supreme Lord. So He's the basis of our evidence. Now, in the purport is a very good point. I think it's a very good purport, actually. Okay, well, maybe we can read it. You can start reading.
Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, has claimed that he is the father of all living entities, regardless of form. There are 8.4 million different species of life forms, and Lord Krishna claims that he is the father of all, because the living entities are part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They are all sons of the Lord, and for their benefit, because they are hovering under the impression that they can lord it over the material nature, the Vedas are given to them for their guidance. Therefore, the Vedas are called up Aporasena. No.
Aparushaya.
Aparuseya. For they are not written by any man or demigod, including the first living creature, Brahma. Brahma is not the creator or author of the Vedas. He is also one of the living beings in the material world. Therefore, he does not have the power to write or speak the Vedas independently. Every living entity within this material world is subject to four deficiencies. He commits mistakes. He accepts one thing for another. He cheats. He, he has imperfect senses. The Vedas, however, are not written by any living creatures within this material world. Therefore, they are said to be the Aparasya. No one can trace out the history of the Vedas. Of course, modern human civilization has no chronological history of the world or the universe, and it cannot present actual historical facts older than 3,000 years. But no one has traced out when the Vedas were written, because they were never written by any living being within this material world. All other systems of knowledge are defective because they have been written or spoken by men or demigods who are who are products of this material creation. But Bhagavad Gita is aparusena.
Parushaya. Okay, so here the important thing here is aparushaya. That means that it is not of this material world. It is emanating from the Lord directly. Now here, see what Prabhupada said. So all other systems of knowledge are defective because they have been written or spoken by a man or demigods. For example, the Muslims, they say that the Quran was given to them by an angel, right? That the Prophet Muhammad was revealed the Quran by an angel. Similarly, the Bible was not authorized by Lord Jesus Christ. Although in the Bible you have some words of Lord Jesus Christ, it is not authorized by him. And
Yes, Prabhu. Even in the Bible, if you see, the most of the the Protestant Christian, they used to refer to the New Testament. Actually, the New Testament is not, it's actually later on composed. You know, the original, the version of the Bible is Old Testament, and the next thing is that
but
even in Bible we have lot of versions. At least in Bhagavad Gita, we have the sloka, sloka, which is said as directly by Krishna. But now the Bible that we have, there are a lot of concoctions,
well,
things got
even
changed in it.
you see, the thing is this: Prabhupada here is saying that even given by demigods, even like the 10 Commandments, Moses, he was brought to heaven, isn't it? And then he was given the 10 Commandments. But heaven means what? Heaven means demigods. And he came back down, and then he gave the 10 Commandments to men and so on. But the point that Prabhupada said that the Bible was not authorized by Lord Jesus Christ, and even
Prabhu, I think that Prabhupada said that Christianity is almost like Mayavada. I read somewhere, Prabhu. I'm sure about this. Do you read somewhere from Prabhupada or hear from
actually,
Prabhupada?
he in a conversation with Dr. Patel, he said that Christianity is somewhere like some 90% Vaishnavism. He didn't say Mayavad, but it's a fact that they do not know who God is. So there is definitely some Mayavad. But the point is that, let me stop this. Lord Jesus Christ could not preach the highest truth, because he was preaching to very low class people. His first disciples were fishermen and so on. So he had to work with pious activity. Therefore, he did not speak of pure devotional service. He could not. This is too much for the people at that time. So this is another okay. The point I want to be making in that purport, we're gonna go back to it and we're gonna skip to the end, because that's the most important point I wanted to speak. So, okay, Manu Prabhu, can you finish this?
Hare Krishna. It is stated that formerly the sages followed this system. Therefore, to follow this Vedic system is to follow the standard etiquette of society. But the followers of Lord Shiva, who are drunkards, who are addicted to intoxication and intoxicants and sex life, who do not bathe and who smoke ganja, are against all human etiquette. The conclusion is that persons who rebel against the Vedic principles are themselves evidence that the Vedas are authoritative, because by not following the Vedic principles, they become like animals. Such animalistic persons are themselves evidence of the supremacy of the Vedic regulation.
So you see, so that's a very good point that Srila Prabhupada is mercifully giving us. The conclusion is that persons who rebel against the Vedic principles are themselves the evidence that the Vedas are authoritative. So the people in general who do not follow Vedic principles are themselves the evidence that the Vedas are authoritative. Why? Because of their degraded behavior. Because by not, here it says, because by not following the Vedic principles, they become like animals. Such animalistic persons are themselves evidence of the supremacy of Vedic regulations. So this is very, very good because it's a fact. Just look at them. You see, just recently there was who is this? Uh, the president of America, this nonsense guy, Biden. You see,
Yeah.
I don't remember his name. Good thing. You know, recently they have banished abortion in many of the states in America, is it not? So that is a very good thing. They stopping these women from killing their own children. You know, this is so sinful. And what did he say? This rascal guy. He said today is a very sad day for Americans. When the legislative assembly passed those laws, because he's not supreme control, right? There's this legislative assembly that passes laws, and he's not necessarily going to control over that. It's not like China here, where but so he said today is a sad day for the Americans. You just see. So by seeing their behavior, that you are the leader of a rascal country. mm, I mean, not rascal country, but you're a rascal leader of the country, of a very powerful country. And now the women in your country are going to be protected from not killing their babies, and you're saying this is a sad day. So by seeing their degraded behavior, they are themselves a proof that the Vedic way of life is the best. And we can apply this actually to each sections of human society. We can see their faults. You see, even so-called, let's say, religionists. You want to say Christians or Muslims or whatever it is logical. Uh, for example, here. There's a verse. What is this? Is a verse that say, some pious men, they think, okay, yeah. So 11:5:14, I'm sharing this here. Okay, can you see this?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. One moment. Okay. Maybe someone else can read 11:5:14. Who wants to read?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
Those sinful persons who are ignorant of actual religious principles, yet consider themselves to be completely pious, without compunction, commit violence against innocent animals who are fully trusting in them. In their next lives, such sinful persons will be eaten by the same creatures they have killed in this world.
So you see, so this is not okay. Of course, this is Sastra, and we accept it because we know it's Sastra. But let's say, even for someone who does not believe in Sastra, this is very logical. That you think you are very religious, right? Those sinful persons who are ignorant of actual religious principles, yet consider themselves to be completely pious. They think, no, 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 I just eat, lambs, or I only sacrifice one animal a month, or things like that, without compunction commit violence against innocent animals who are fully trusting them. These animals, they don't come out of nowhere, right? You have to raise them, you have to feed them, you're actually feeding them daily, just like a child, and they grow up seeing you. So, but you are mercilessly killing them. So this is also a proof that, what kind of religious system is this? That you're causing torture to poor innocent animal. I was I was invited once, when I was living in another garden with my wife and son. One Christian man invited us. Actually, his wife invited us to his house, and we tried, to refuse, But after that, we said, okay, we'll come, but we'll bring the food, because we don't want to be eating what they're cooking, even though it's vegetarian in no way, So at least if he allows us to bring, at least he'll be eating prashadam, So I thought like that. All right. So we prepared some lasagna and salad, and we went to his place with bringing everything, our own plates and everything. They were anyway. So I had a talk with him. I tried to preach to him, and I said, well, how can you kill poor animals that have feelings, even though you could survive without killing them. You can clearly survive on beans, and protein can be found. So why? So he said, no, our scriptures say that we have right to lord it over animals and this. So immediately you can see the defect. If you got a choice, you have a choice that you can live without causing such misery to another living entity. But you're saying, no, I can. So even you speak of people who don't believe in spirituality and religion, they can see the fault there. There are many vegetarians that are not believing in God, and they see the fault in killing animals. You see, so that's another proof that our philosophy is the best, because there's no discrimination between this form of life or that form of life. The devotees, when they advance in Krishna consciousness, they don't even want to kill an ant. That's a fact. Remember how we were before becoming devotee. A bug. Would you care that much for a bug before? I remember a bug was just a bug, right? Oh, a bug, you slap it away or something. And now you're seeing the bug, and you're, oh, okay, come here, I'll bring you out. And you open the window. You endeavor, right, to help a bug, isn't it? So it was not like this before. Even now, when I sometimes I still kill mosquitoes. Here in our garden is like a jungle, so every day we get bitten. So sometimes I still kill, but I feel bad. I wish there was another way, for me to do. So sometimes if I leave the mosquito in my room, he'll bite me a whole night, and then I'll wake up. So and there'll be so many of them. How to chase a mosquito? That's another good question. But I feel bad. I don't like it. This is basically the only living entity that is still voluntarily killed. And I don't, even cockroach I don't kill. I just grab them somehow and throw them outside the window. So why have these qualities emerged in us? What happened? This is definitely another proof that we're in the proper process. So so before talking about that sort of proof, which is basically our own change in our life, I'd like to go somewhere else. So another thing, of course, is that Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, he's giving us very, I mean to say, in 2:12, verse 2, text 12, right? He said, Nadvevaham jatunasam. Never was there a time when you did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. Okay, so the Lord is telling us we're eternal, but we might doubt that. So in the next verse, what does he say? He's actually helping us to see with logic that we're not this body. So he's saying, as of course you all know this verse. This is one of the first verse that people learn in general. So as the embodied soul continually passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. Here it's a sober person is not bewildered by such a change. In the original version, it says a self-realized person. So anyway, so Krishna is helping us to see through logic here. If we actually fully believe in the Lord, he wouldn't actually need to say that. But he knows that we are rascals. We won't fully believe in him. So therefore, he's helping us. And that is logical. You see, and even the material scientists, I don't think you can see. Let me share. Sorry. Window. No. I cannot share my whole screen, I think. Yeah, I cannot share my whole screen. Anyway, unfortunately, I don't think I can share my pictures today. Okay, just give me one more try. Okay, yeah, maybe like this. Can you see the pictures?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
So,
So this is another logical aspect of the philosophy, is that I had a baby body. Now I have really changed the body. Let's say we were all here, all of us, we were born like this. So where is that baby body now? Now we're here, somewhere here. So how is it that it changed so much? It was small like this. How has it become like that? And even modern scientists, they say that 7 years ago, our cells were completely different. So let's say we go back 7 years, we go back to here. that those cells, those eyes, because cells constitute each organ of our body. So even modern atheist scientists, they say that all the cells have been changed. So this body, all the cells in that body, the cells of the heart, the eyes, the brain, every single cell, the brain has been completely changed. The eyes, the heart, everything has been changed. So this is wonderful because it's actually a different brain that you have. You don't have the same brain, physically speaking, you changed the brain, and it's happening so subtly. So how is this happening? How is this taking place? And yet we are still the same person within. Of course, our mind changes too. This mind here that we had, you all remember when we were young boys, what we were thinking about simply playing. We're simply thinking, oh, I got a new toy, I'll do this, I'll do that. We never thought. And then when we came here, slowly lust starting to come in, and then we started to think of girls, right? So the mind changed. So how is that? And then a man becomes, then he starts to think about money, and then he grows older. He starts to focus more on health, right? This is actually a very nice observation that His Grace Nagopa Prabhu had. He said, young men think of women, middle-aged men they think of money, and old-aged men they think of health. That's a fact, because this boy, he's thinking, when will I get married? I'm gonna get a nice girl, I'm gonna get money in this. Then this man here is thinking more about money. Okay, I need to expand my house, a new car. I need to send my children to school, so I need more money. And then he's starting to grow old, and he knows that the body is starting to work weirdly. So okay, how to maintain my health? So he's talking more about health. So the mind changes. So, but still, we are still the same person experiencing all of this. It's never been someone else. It's always been us. It's not that someone else was in that body. We remember when we broke our bones there or this or that. So it's always us. We're the observers in all of this. So there's definitely two entities. There's the entity that is observing, and there's the changing entity. And the changing entity is dead, but the living entity is inside, which is observing. Not only this, okay, another thing. My daughter now, she's here, okay, and my son is somewhere here. So what are these bodies made of? They're made of bones, they're made of meat, okay? But how has so much meat increased? You see, think about this. The body, when the baby is born, it's about, let's say, okay, 3 kilos, 4 kilos, okay, 4 kilos, let's say. 4 kilos of meat is there, and blood and other things. Now here, it's about 15 kilos of meat. Where did all that meat come from? My son is a vegetarian. He's only eating broccolis and beans and sprouts. How come there's like 20 or whatever, 10 kilos of meat added? Where did it come from? He's only eating rice, vegetables, dal, yogurt, sugar. How come there's so much meat added? So isn't this inconceivable potency? So this is another form of evidence that we see the workings of material nature that are completely bewildering our intelligence. We cannot comprehend. Okay, if you tell me you start to eat meat when you're a baby, let's say at 6 months old, you start to eat meat, and you eat a lot of, pig meat or whatever, then okay, I can say I know where you get your meat from. But a vegetarian baby, why is he getting so much meat? And where are the so much bones and so on? Not even cows.
Prabhu, actually, I have studied a lot, because I am studying the same thing, for example, if we compare a vegetarian diet and a non-vegetarian diet, a vegetarian diet, if you see, it's full of fiber, you know. Actually, our body need very less protein and more fiber, you know. For the most of the vegetables, fruits, legumes, grains, everything is having enough fiber content, fiber, vitamins, everything is there. And
That's all right. So
yeah,
where's
for
the
the
blood?
fat, we are having the ghee. So ghee, all dairy products, we are having the enough good fat. But if you take the
No,
meat,
but
it has
some
both
people don't drink.
very less good
Some
fat and
people,
more bad fat. So
some
hence,
people
it's not
don't drink
suitable for
milk.
us.
Some people don't drink ghee. So where's the blood coming from? Of course, you say fibers, you say protein, and all of this, but why is there so much more blood? And where's the fiber and grass? The cows, they eat dry grass. On dry grass they can survive. The baby cow who is so small, he will start to eat only grass. And how come he will grow into a huge bull full of fat, meat, flesh, bones? Where's your protein? Where's your fiber in grass? So you see, they're studying like this. Oh, we need fibers, we need that. Okay, I don't disagree that if you equalize your diet in a certain way, you'll be more healthy. But this whole vitamin thing, and you need that vitamin, this vitamin. Where's the vitamin in dry grass? How come the cows they're giving the milk, which is the most vitaminous food stuff, but they're eating dry grass? Many cows they only eat dry grass, like especially in northern countries, they don't have green grass the whole winter, so they need to eat that dry hay. So why are there so much vitamin coming out from dry grass? You give the dry grass to the scientists, can they pull out so much? Can they make milk out of it? No. So therefore there's a potency that you cannot understand. That's why it's called achintya. You cannot understand how is from dry grass you're making a cow become 10 times its weight when it was a baby, and giving the most wonderful milk. Mm. So this is another sort of evidence that there must be some working force behind all of this that I do not comprehend. I do not understand. Mm. Let me. Mm. Okay. So that's another thing. By logic, by seeing the knowledge that is being given to us in the Vedas, and really trying to think about it, logically speaking, it makes sense. When you look at this. Okay, another point that I want to touch is also there are some prophecies, in the Vedas, uh, things that are happening before our eyes. For example, in the 12th canto of Shrimad Bhagavatam, the second chapter, we have some of the symptoms of Kali Yuga. So, can you see this here? Yeah, you can see this, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, who would like to read this verse here?
Text 2. Uh,
Just one
in
moment. What's
Yes,
happening?
Prabhu.
Huh? I'm giving a class. Hmm? I'm giving a class to beg people. No, I'm because the door cannot, I cannot lock it. Go, listen on. No, the water. Oh, the water. Oh, you turn it on? Like? Why did you turn it off? Sorry about that. My son is upset because I turn off the cooling machine. We have a water dispenser. It's got a heater and a cooling. Anyway, he wants cold water, so he's upset at me. All right. Okay, so this is Shrimad Bhagavatam, Canto 12, Chapter 2. Text 2. Who wants to read this?
Uh, Text 2. In Kali Yuga, wealth alone will be considered the sign of man's good birth, proper behavior, and fine qualities, and law and justice will be applied only on the basis of one's power.
Yes. So this is coming to pass. And we're seeing this everywhere in the world right now. It didn't used to be like this. Before, character of a man, his qualities, his behavior used to be what people were looking at. Now, wealth alone will be considered a man's good birth, proper behavior, and fine qualities. As soon as one is rich, everybody worships him. Just like this Elon Musk, right? He's said to be the richest man right now. But the man is a dummy, Like he says that robots are going to be taking over. I don't know if you've heard that. He says robots are going to be taking over. He says that we have to be careful to preserve consciousness. We have to do something to preserve consciousness. All of a sudden, he's in charge of preserving consciousness. He's an atheist number one. He said he even said that at one point he was interviewed, and the interviewer said, "Do you pray?" And then he said, no, he said, even when I had some grave disease, he has a big disease, even when I had this disease, I did not pray. And he was kind of proud of saying this. So the man is a rascal number one atheist that thinks that robots have consciousness, that he wants to send people to Mars, and he's boasting as if he already done it. So the guy in Vedic culture, this type of man would be expelled out of town, out of the city, out of the country even. People would not want to see such rascal guy. But now somehow or other he's got money, and now he's buying Twitter and this and that. So everybody worships him. Wow, he's a great, great man. So it's coming to pass. This was not there before. So how is Bhagavatam knowing this? Again, aparushaya, right? The word that we saw, aparushaya or aparushaya. So, which means not of this material world. Okay, we'll continue. You can read the next verse here.
Yes, Prabhu. Text 3. Just 1 minute. Yeah. Text 3. Men and women will live together merely. Sorry, Prabhu, it is not visible for me. I don't know.
Oh, cannot see?
Maybe.
Okay, maybe someone else?
I think network issue.
Who would like to continue? Maybe Sami Prabhu, would you like to read? It's not audible to the screen recording. How is that? Oh, okay. So who else wants to read?
May I read, Prabhu?
Yes, sure.
Men and women will live together merely because of superficial attraction, and success in business will depend on deceit. Womanliness and manliness will be judged according to one's expertise in sex, and a man will be known as a Brahmana just by his wearing a thread.
You see, this verse came into action, into being, only some, let's say, 60 years ago or so. Man and women will live together merely because of superficial attraction. How do boys and girls get together now? The boy looks at the girl, oh, she's very sexually attractive. And the girl, oh, he's a handsome boy. And then they start to live together. This was not existent before. That did not exist. Before, men and women were being married according to religious principles. It doesn't matter where you go on the planet. There was always some religious ceremony. Even in the West, my father used to tell me, when he was young, everyone every Sunday would go to church, and men and women would be getting together because of marriage. You could not go out with some girl and not be married. The whole village or whatever city will look bad at you. They would know, what is this? So just think about it. That does not exist before. But Bhagavatam, who's written 5,000 years ago, predicted that it would become like that. So now it's coming to pass. And of course, some of you might be a little bit younger, but maybe you would have noticed, all this craze of bodybuilding. People, men lifting weight and girls. That was not there some, let's say, 20 years ago. If you just go back 20 years, this was not there. People were not working out like crazy. It started about 20 years ago or so, but now it has never been so much. All those youngsters, boys and girls, they all go to the gym. So why is that? Because this is it. It's predicted here. That again, we read this, that womanliness and manliness will be judged according to one's expertise in sex. So what is the goal of having muscles and all of this? Is to enjoy sex life. That's all. There's no other. These men are not. They're not boxers, right? Not all of them need strength for their livelihood. They're not fighters or anything. They're not soldiers. So what is the goal? The goal is to attract the opposite sex. That's all. So superficial attraction, definitely, that's what's happening there. Before, people knew that marriage had religious significance. A man and a woman will unite their lives in front of God for the betterment of their life and their their advancement in material field and spiritual field, or religious field, if you want to
Hare
say.
Krishna to you.
Yes.
Nitai from Obligation Service to share with that. Well, I'm very sorry to be cutting you in short, but I just wanted to ask that is out of my curiosity because you had mentioned that generally the men would not like take care of their bodies like so much as to do bodybuilding and such, right?
Hmm.
But then what about the case of like wrestlers back then, like assuming Bhima or Jarasandha?
No, that's what I'm saying now. Not all the
Actually, they
men
are
need those muscles.
actually they are Kshatriyas. Are
You
we a
see,
Kshatriya?
what I said, not all the men that are training now need those muscles. That's what I said. Before, definitely you had to. Even the Pandavas, when they were in the forest, exiled for 13 years, they were training every day because they're Kshatriyas. They have to keep fit. That's their job. But for a Kshatriya to train, that is normal. That's natural. Except for a Kshatriya, nobody would train. The Shudra would get muscles because he would work. He would be also maybe sometimes looking stronger than the Vaishya and the Brahmanas. But generally, a Vaishya would not have muscle. A Brahmana would not have muscle. A Shudra maybe a little strength because he has to work in the field and so on. Just like you see sometimes the workers, if they're well fed, they start to get some muscles. But yes, a Kshatriya definitely he has to train every day. But why he has to train? Because he's got to go kill the enemy. So it has some use. The muscles are used. Now the muscles are not used. The muscles are pumped, and the guys show it, and or the girls, they go and get their surgery, and they get some artificial breast and all of this. So what
Yes,
is the use of all of this?
yes.
The only use is sex. That's all. There's no other use but sex. It's to attract, somehow or other you try to attract sexually the opposite sex, and then you enjoy sex. So like cats and dogs. That's all. So the
So the
Bhagavatam has predicted
consciousness
that.
is only what that has changed, right?
Sorry.
The consciousness has changed, and so the result, these consequences.
You mean the consciousness of the people has changed, and therefore the result?
Yes, no. The what I mean to say is that the consciousness of the people has changed, and that's why the same activities are, even though they've been done in the past and they are doing it now. The only difference in the consciousness makes it right or wrong, right? According to the Vedic principles.
Well, yes, but not. I mean to say, before in the past, only the Kshatriyas were doing it. Now everybody's a Shudra and they're doing it. So there was a purpose. So of course, it all comes from consciousness. The change of consciousness is the origin of all actions. Why we do something bad, or it's all consciousness. So because before people were God conscious, they were guided by some religious principles. So anyway, so here you see it. So womanliness and manliness would be judged according to one's expertise, its sex. So women are seeing, well, is that man very strong? Can he lift? Then I would think, yes, you're a real man. They will not consider the quality of the man. The man can be a rascal number one who's going to be cheating on her and everything, but that she does not consider. She just sees if he has muscle. And similarly, the men are only looking if women are. But before, according to Vedic culture, that was not the main thing. Never do you see in the Shastra history that the girl, she looked if the man had muscle or this or that. Of course, I mean to say, physical attraction was there. This is from the beginning of the creation, but that was not the main thing. The main thing was, is that man worth, is he going to be leading, protecting me properly? And the man would think, would that wife be chaste? Would she follow me? So because Sastra was there, they knew what was the basic of good qualities. Now they don't know. They don't know that shyness is very good for a woman. No, Bhishma Dev says that if you break loose that shyness in women, you cannot control them. That's a fact. You've probably experienced a girl that is not shy. You cannot control her. She's independent. She'll do whatever she wants. Women are controlled through shyness. Because of shyness, they will get some shame. When you're shy, you feel shameful. That shame is good. When a woman is not feeling any shyness, she's shameless. She'll do things that even some men would not even dare to do, and in this way, she's degrading herself so much. So when that shyness valve is let loose, all hell breaks loose, and this is why the West is a mess. Why every what is the rate of divorce in our Western countries is definitely higher than 50%. That's for sure. At least
70%.
70, is it?
If you're married 3 times, yes, it's gonna be 70%.
If you're married 3 times. Yeah, so you see, so one woman will make the percentage go up by herself. She'll marry 10 times and divorce. So it's we're laughing, but it's very sad. This is the cause. Actually, this is one of the important dominoes that made everything fall down. Arjuna says it in the very first chapter. That's another evidence also. Arjuna is saying it. Not just Arjuna, is there in the scriptures, but Arjuna, what does he say? Yes, Sami, you see, all we come from such families. My mother also had many men. So what to do? We come from. That's why Prabhupada went to preach in the lowest. You came to us at the Mlecha Desha, right? So Arjuna said it. He said, when you kill the senior of the family, who are supposed to be protecting religious principles, what happens is that now the women of the family are no longer protected. So they will become involved in irreligious acts. Because of these irreligious acts, unwanted children will be born. What is an unwanted children? Just like now, they're killing their own child. That means they're unwanted. They don't want that baby, right? That's the first definition, that the poor child is not even wanted. He's there in the belly of his own mother. The soul is there, but no one wants him. He's being killed. Just see how atrocious that is. That is one of the definition of unwanted. Another thing is, because that child was conceived outside of religious principles, he will develop bad qualities. Of course, every child in the beginning is cute. Every baby, you see. I'm sure that even what is his name? That Russian, that Soviet Union leader, Stalin.
Vladimir Putin.
No, Vladimir is Russia. I mean, Soviet Union before Stalin. He must have been a cute baby too. So all babies are cute. All children are cute. But the karma from the past lives really starts to come in towards teenage. That's why we see that they start to become very bad towards teenage. And that's there in Shastra also. In the beginning, the child doesn't get full package of his past karma. He's given a chance. That's why they say children are pure. Of course, they're not pure, because if they're actually pure, how can they become impure? Pure means you're pure. You cannot be impure. So they're not pure, but definitely they are more lifted. They're given some time off of their past karma. And then when they comes toward teenage, and that's it, everything just, you open a book of worm, a can of worm, right? And this is what's happening. So those unwanted children, what does that mean? We saw it, Prabhupada said it just now. They are dirty. They don't have regulated life. They smoke ganja. They drink, right? So this is an unwanted child. I was an unwanted child, somehow or other I was saved by Prabhupada. But practically every Western, even in India, of course, it's not that it's just the West, everywhere around the world, but our Western civilization is just about this. I mean, my friends, I did not have one friend that did not drink. I did not have one friend that did not smoke ganja. At the so-called friend, of course, we know they're all, but you could not, every teenager was drinking. If the thing is that now, if you see a teenager that doesn't drink, you're like, what? You don't drink? How come? It's something amazing, He's the normal kid, you're the degraded one, but um, it's folly to be wise where ignorance is bliss, right? So when you're wise in the company of ignorant people, it's like folly. People judge you. You're crazy. So that's another proof, that the whole Western world has collapsed so fast in a matter of a half century. Why? Because of this. First of all, the men, they gave up their religious principle, and then women became polluted. They were allowed to intermingle with men anyhow. And what happens? Children are born outside marriage. And when these children grow up, they're hippies and this and that. And then the whole country is a mess, right? So, and because of this, the whole world is put in a chaotic condition. So that's another proof. Only in a few verses, Arjuna spoke, I think it's 3 verse only he spoke, or 4, and he's describing what has been happening. What sociologists are trying to debate and understand, what religionists are trying to fix, and everybody is like so much concerned. And you just take those 3 4 verses of Arjuna, you study them nicely, and you apply them, and you fix the whole problem. So that's another proof that how much Shastra is condensed knowledge, not that you have to study 10 million years and then you still be imperfect. No, like in a couple of verses, you can fix the situation. So that's another proof that is there in Shastra. I mean to say that we can see that Shastra is correct. Okay, going back to those symptoms. Okay, here, so we saw success in business will depend on deceit. So that we can only imagine how they're cheating one another, in business. And then a brahmana will be known just by wearing a thread. So that was not there before. It was by quality and work, but here it is very prominent. In India, those who are wearing threads, they think themselves to
Hare
be
Krishna
brahmana.
Prabhu, I am one such culprit.
Well,
I am
you are
one such
not,
culprit, born in a so-called Brahmin family.
yes, but you're not a culprit because you understand, those who
Yes, so that's all.
yeah, those who treat themselves thinking that they are higher simply because of birth, they are the real culprits. You're not part of that group. So that is there also. That was not there before. This is another prediction that has been happening. Okay, who wants to read this? Maybe you can continue, Dimitri Prabhu.
Uh, yes, Prabhu.
Okay.
Uh,
A person's
yeah,
spiritual position will be ascertained merely according to external symbols, and on that same basis, people will change from one spiritual order to the next. A person's propriety will be seriously questioned if he does not earn a good living, and one who is very clever at juggling words will be considered a learned scholar.
Yeah. One who's very clever at juggling words will be considered a learned scholar. Just like people think that Sadhguru is a learned scholar. People think that Dr. Zakir Naik is a learned scholar. People think that Deepak Chopra is a learned scholar. Why? Because they're good at juggling some words. That's all. They'll bewilder you with some words, and you'll be thinking, oh yeah, he's very. But what would be the position of such persons in the Vedic times? No one would care for them, because first of all, none of them is quoting from Shastra, from Vedic scriptures. So they would have no place. Even they would be like seen as chandalas, like they would be complete outcast people. So because even in Vedic times, the Mayavad and all, they used to quote. At least they knew some scriptures. Now they don't even know. So a person's spiritual position will be ascertained merely according to external symbols. So we don't need to go very far for this. In our very own movement, we can see that. And they switch from one ashram to another like anything. And here it says, on the same basis, people will change from one spiritual order to the next. Just like a few years ago, I saw one sannyasi from ISKCON. All of a sudden, he became grihasta. Why? Because he's wearing white. So from sannyasi, he went to grihasta. Why? Because he wanted to get married. around 70 years old, the lusty man wanted some sex, so he decided to become grihasta again. Just see. So what is this thing? Oh, one day I'm wearing saffron and I have a stick, therefore I'm sannyas. The other day I'm wearing white and I'm kurta, and therefore I'm grihasta. What is this? It's simply according to external symbols. There's no fact anymore. Mm. So that's it. This is Kali Yoga in full swing, and it's been predicted such a long time ago. Before, such things were rarely seen, very, very rarely seen. The first one actually, I believe, was Lord Indra, and then second, maybe Ravana. Ravana was right. He cheated Mother Sita by disguising himself as a. But you can see this. Let's go see those verses concerning Lord Indra. Let me see. Becoming 100 horsepower instruction. Okay, can you see now this King Prithu 100 horse sacrifices, or you're still seeing the other?
Still the Prabhu.
Oh, still other. Okay. Mm, okay. Now you see, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Uh, Exceed him. Okay. Just to put you. Okay, so King Prithu, he's a Shakti Avesha avatar. He was about to perform 100 horses sacrifice. So who wants to read this verse here?
Text 2. When the most powerful Indra, the king of heaven, saw this, he considered the fact that King Prithu was going to exceed him in fruitive activities. Thus, Indra could not tolerate the great sacrificial ceremonies performed by King Prithu.
Yeah, so Indra became angry because Indra's another name. I forgot the Sanskrit meaning, but is one who has performed 100 horse sacrifice. That's how he attained his post in heaven, to be the king of heaven, because he did 100 horse sacrifice. But here you see, King Prithu initiated the performance of 100 horse sacrifice. So he was afraid that he's gonna reach an equal status with me, and he might win my place in heaven, take my place as Indra. So he became envious. So what he did, um, here,
When Prithu Maharaj was performing the last horse sacrifice, Ashwamedha Yajna, King Indra, invisible to everyone, stole the horse intended for sacrifice. He did this because of his great envy of King Prithu. When King Indra was taking away the horse, he dressed himself to appear as a liberated person. Actually, his dress was a form of cheating, for it falsely created an impression of religion. When Indra went into outer space in this way, the great sage Atri saw him and understood the whole situation.
mm. So this was the beginning. You see, as a liberated person, are you seeing the verse now? The page of the
Yes, Prabhu.
verse?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Um, okay, you can read.
Okay. Purport. The word Pakhanda used in this verse is sometimes pronounced Pashanda. Both of these words indicate an impostor who presents himself as a very religious person but in actuality is sinful. Indra took up the saffron colored dress as a way of cheating others. This saffron dress has been misused by many impostors who present themselves as liberated persons or incarnations of God. In this way, people are cheated. As we have mentioned many times, the conditioned soul has a tendency to cheat. Therefore, this quality is also visible in a person like King Indra. It is understood that even King Indra is not liberated from the clutches of material contamination. Thus, the words amuktam eva, meaning as if he were liberated, are used. The saffron dress worn by sannyasi announces to the world that he has renounced all worldly affairs and is simply engaged in the service of the Lord. Such a devotee is actually a sannyasi or liberated person. In Bhagavad Gita 6.1, it is said.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
You skip to, okay, here, cheating sannyasi.
Cheating sannyasis and yogis have existed since the time of Prithu Maharaj's sacrifice. This cheating was very foolishly introduced by King Indra. In some ages, such cheating is very prominent, and in other ages, not so prominent. It is the duty of a sannyasi to be very cautious because, as stated by Lord Chaitanya, Sannyasira alpha chidra sarva loke gaya. A little spot in a sannyasi's character will be magnified by public. CC Madhya 12.51. Therefore, unless one is very sincere and serious, he should not take up to the order of sannyas. One should not use the order as a means to cheat the public. It is better not to take up sannyas in this age of Kali because provocations are very strong in this age. Only a very exalted person, advanced in spiritual understanding, should attempt to take up sannyas. One should not adopt this order as a means of livelihood or for some material purpose.
Yeah, so you see, cheating sannyasis and yogis have existed since the time of Prithu Maharaj's sacrifice. This cheating was very foolishly introduced by King Indra. So he's the one who first, King Indra is the one who first started this, to dress as a sannyasi. But in that time, only Indra did that. And later on, there's Ravan also. So this was it was so rarely done that, you see, when I listened to the Mahabharata for the first time, I had just begun my Krishna consciousness not long ago, and I listened to the audio, of the Krishna Dharma condensed version of the Mahabharata. So at one point, you know that the Pandavas they disguised themselves as Brahmanas, right? To enter, they were living as ascetics in the forest, and they were all dressed as Brahmanas, and this is how they went to win Srimati Draupadi. That was after, Duryodhan sent them to the house of lac, right? And then he burned the house. And at that point, they thought they were all dead. Only Vidura knew that they were not dead. Okay, so at that point in time, the Kauravas, even Bhishma Dev, they all thought that the Pandavas were dead. So after that, they hid themselves in the forest for about 1 year, and they were dressed as Brahmanas. So when they heard that there was going to be a Svayamvar held, the competition to win over Princess Draupadi, they went there disguised as Brahmanas. So when I was hearing this, because Kshatriyas are very big, they were, and Bhima, he was like something 15 feet, and Arjuna, he was some 8 feet or something, they were much taller than humans now. So, and they all have some bowstring scars, and they must have scars everywhere. So I was thinking, how is it that people don't recognize them? They are dressed as Brahmanas, and nobody is like thinking that these are actually Kshatriyas and Brahmana. So, it's later on that I understood that this cheating was not happening back then. People were not doing these things, like to dress as another. So people were so truthful that they simply accepted it. So when they came to the Swayamvara of Srimati Draupadi, they could not be real. And the Brahmanas, they saw them, and they saw, wow, those Brahmanas are so strong, and they accepted them as Brahmanas. And even when Arjuna fought with Karna could not recognize Arjuna, and he did not use his full power because they fought, at the Draupadi's Vayamvar. They got into a fight. But Karna, he fought, and at one point he was like, okay, I'm doing something wrong, I'm shooting at a Brahmana. So even him, he thought, yes, here's a Brahmana in front of me. So so that's the proof that this cheating propensity was not there in the past. People were not doing these things. But now in the Bhagavatam, it says this is going to happen. And I mean, we're born in a time where there's just too much of it, Where's the real sannyasi at the moment on the planet? You show me one. I'd like to know, It's I don't know. Of course, there's one in Bangalore, one Maharaj, sannyas, I don't know, maybe he's close to it. There might be some in other sampradayas, but I mean, really, I'm not saying there's none, but from those that I know, most of them that I know are from ISKCON. They are definitely fallen. So this is another proof. So okay, another again proof from the Shastra, the Srimad Bhagavatam again. one. This is, yeah. Who wants to read this?
Uh, this Bhagavat Puran is as brilliant as the sun, and it has arisen just after the departure of Lord Krishna to his own abode, accompanied by religion, knowledge, etc. Persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali shall get light from this Purana.
So this is a proof for us. Of course, karmis won't even believe this, but okay, we are in the age of Kali. The world is in complete darkness because the Lord is gone. Vedic culture is gone. So you see, Lord Krishna went back to his own abode, accompanied by religion. When the Lord was there, religious principles was very clear because he would enunciate it. The knowledge also. So the knowledge is gone, religion is gone. But this is us here, persons who have lost their vision due to the dense darkness of ignorance in the age of Kali. That's us who are in complete ignorance. Shall get light from this Purana. So where are we getting our knowledge from? From Shrimad Bhagavatam. You know, of course, Bhagavad Gita is there, but I mean to say, Bhagavatam is really explaining everything. So we are getting this. So again, it's a prediction that is coming to pass. So in this way, there are many predictions. There is also the Kali Santarana Upanishad that I'm sure that you know. That is also there. This is another prediction that is happening. What is this? A window. Okay. Are you seeing this? Okay, I'm going to read this for those of you who don't know. So this is the Upanishad that gives the Mahamantra Hare Krishna, basically. Oh,
Yeah,
it's not
yes,
visible?
Prabhu. It's not visible.
Okay, one moment. How about now? Can you see? Haribol?
No, Prabhu.
Still? Okay, to avoid an infinity, don't share your entire screen or browser. Share just a tab or a different window instead. That's weird because what I did, wait, here I've got the choice. You see, I'm seeing present a window, and then I've got the choices of my windows open. And I press on Acrobat Reader, I press share, so it should be sharing Acrobat Reader. Somehow, okay, maybe it's coming up now.
No,
No.
Prabhu, still not.
So the problem is that for some reason today, when I press share my entire screen, it doesn't allow me. Okay, let me try to Chrome. I can drag maybe my, yeah, okay. I drag my PDF in the Chrome, so I'm gonna open it as a tab. It should be fine, I guess.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, okay. What about now? Can it be seen?
Yes, Prabhu, it is seen.
Okay.
Abel, Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'll be reading because it's a bit long and so this is Kali Santarana Upanishad. This is from the Krishna Yajur Veda. Okay. So there's black Yajur Veda and white. So Krishna here is for black color. Of course, it's the name of the Lord. You say it meaning black or what? You're chanting Hare Krishna. So at the end of Dwarpa Yoga, Narada went to Brahma and addressed him thus: O Lord, how shall I, roaming over the earth, be able to overcome the effects of Kali Yuga? Brahma replied thus: You have asked well. Listen to that which all the Vedas keep secret and hidden, through which one may cross the ocean of mundane existence, samsara, during Kali Yuga. It is through the mere recitation of the names of the primeval personality of Godhead, Lord Narayana, that one transcends the evil effects of the Kali Yuga. So you see this is Upanishad, huh? That's part of the, I mean to say, the Yajur Veda. They cannot even trace, of course, the nonsense material scientists, they'll say like some couple of thousands of years. But still, even if you take a couple of thousands of years, the prediction is here. Narada asked again, what are those names? Brahma, Hiranyagarbha replied, Hare Nam, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Nam, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So, of course, now here the Hare Ram comes first. Prabhupada did mention in a lecture that sometimes they argue that Hare Ram is first or Hare Krishna is first. Anyway, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us Hare Krishna first, and it doesn't matter which one you chant first, but we follow Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So here it is. The Mahamantra itself is given in the Vedas. It's not that it's been, of course, even if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants to make it, he can, but he did not. He actually hid it beforehand in the Vedas. So it's there, Kali Santanana Upanishad, and it's happening. The whole world now, the bona fide spiritualists are chanting this Mahamantra Hare Krishna. And it's a fact that they're crossing over the age of Kali. What is the age of Kali? It means the sins are more prevalent. Meat eating, intoxication, gambling, and illicit sex. We all came out of those, is it not? That means we're crossing over the effects, the evil effects of Kali Yuga. And how are we doing this? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That's the proof. And then the number is given here later on. Maybe you did not know this. Your jaw might drop. These 16 names destroy the negative effects of Kali. No better means, upaya, than this is to be had in all the Vedas. So here we have it. In Upanishad, it says that Shen Hare Krishna is the best of all. These 16 names destroy the 16 envelopments in which the jiva is enveloped. Then, like the sun which shines forth once the clouds are dispersed, Parabrahman alone radiates forth. So basically, you come out of the material, subtle body also. Again, Narada asked, "O Lord, what are the regulations to be observed?" Brahma replied, "There are no regulations." What is that? The Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? The Shikshashtakam? How is he saying this?
Hard and fast rules to chant
प्रभु
your
नाम
holy
नाम
name.
आकार बहुधा निज
Yes.
सर्वशक्तिस्तत्र पिता नियमित स्मरेण कालः.
Tatrapita niyamitaha smanare nakalaha. So there's no proper time or improper time. There's no niyamitaha. There's no regulations, right? So whoever in a pure or impure state chants. Sometimes when you go to the bathroom, you might be thinking, "Oh, how can I chant the Lord's name?" No, it doesn't matter. You're pure or impure. You just chant. Then these names always attains the same world, salokya, proximity to samipya, the same form. So here the liberation, right? Sarupya, absorption into Brahman. This one, absorption into Brahman. Actually, a Mayavad who wants liberation in Brahman must worship the Lord also. That's a fact. And therefore, many Mayavad in the garb of devotee, they worship the Lord. They worship the deity, they chant Hare Krishna. But their goal is this. You cannot attain liberation without worshiping Krishna also. This is not possible. Whoever chants this mantra of 16 names 35 million times, here we have it, 35 million times, is absolved of the sin of murdering a Brahmin and that of murdering a hero. I don't know what is this hero translated. He is absolved of the sin of the theft of gold. He becomes purified from sexual misconduct. Having abandoned all dharmas, he is absolved from all sins. He becomes immediately liberated. This is the Upanishad. So it's a very short Upanishad. That's it. Only a few verses, but how potent are those verses? So this 35 million here, 3.5 crore, 35 million names. If you calculate 16 names in one Hare Krishna Mahamantra, 108 times 16s again. Okay, that takes about 55 years, to chant. So this is the quota we have to get in. So 55 years of chanting. So Prabhupada said it also. He said about the same thing. He said it takes about 50 years to master chanting Hare Krishna. Actually, that's pretty fast. I'm very happy that it's only 50 years and not like 50 lives. And all of us were quite relatively young, so we have good opportunity. So that's another proof right there. The Mahamantra is given, and I mean to say, who was chanting Hare Krishna before? Even when Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, it was not the whole world who was chanting. Just some people in India, they were chanting. Of course, he liberated, whole of Bharatavarsha. That's another topic. But outside of India, it was not there, and now it's there. Everybody knows about the Hare Krishna. Even the karmis, they know about the Hare Krishna. Especially in Prabhupada times, now it has gone down a bit because ISKCON have not done their duty. But definitely, and it's going to increase more and more and more, and everybody, the whole world will know about it. And the prediction also that my holy name will be heard and chanted in every town and village, and it's taking place. Even in China here, we've got this. So yeah, so that's another thing. And then the most important evidence for all of us, it's our own spiritual advancement, that we feel it. We feel that this is right, this is true, because we're changing. Of course, that verse from the 11th canto, right, that says that we're changing. What are the 3 symptoms of spiritual advancement? Who can say? So 11 to 42. So 11 to 42. This is a verse that Prabhupada quoted many times. And sometimes he did not quote, but he explained. He said, like, when you eat, you don't need to, yes, at least this stays in material activities. So that is one symptom. So Prabhupada said, when you eat, you don't need to ask someone else whether you ate or not. I don't know if you've heard Prabhupada's class. Sometimes he speaks like this. When you eat, you don't need to ask someone else if you ate. You don't need to take a proof from somebody else. That actually comes from that verse. Okay, who wants to read this? This is 11 to 42.
May I read it, Prabhu?
Yeah, sure.
Translation. Devotion, direct experience of the Supreme Lord, and detachment from other things. These 3 occur simultaneously for one who has taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in the same way that pleasure, nourishment, and relief from hunger can simultaneously and increasingly with each bite for a person engaged in eating.
Yes. So those 3 things here: devotion, direct experience of the Supreme Lord, and detachment from other things. So Sami Prabhu just now, he said that detachment from other things means all the sense gratification. So that's the proof that we're properly connected. So here the Bhagavatam is telling us, and that's not just the proof that we're properly connected in Krishna consciousness. That's the proof that we are properly connected, to a bona fide spiritual master, and that our system, this Ritvik system of initiation, is working. Because as I said in the beginning, we're against everyone. Everyone is against us. We're against, atheists. We're against Mayavad. We're against even so-called devotees. So everyone is against us. So how can we be convinced in all this war, all this, turmoil of arguments? These things must be happening. We must become detached from other things. We must lose taste in material sense gratification, right? And then we should be getting devotion. So this devotional mood should be increasing. That's, we start to love doing devotional service. It takes time, it's not something that comes overnight. To start to develop a taste in chanting Hare Krishna, chanting your rounds, to start develop a taste in worshiping the deities. Actually, at least for me, it did not come overnight, and even now, I'm not saying I have taste. I have, it's not like that. Sometimes even when I'm in kirtan and I'm too tired, my mind goes left and right still. So it's something that we are on the path at the moment, and the taste will increase. So at least it's a proof that we are advancing. The point is that at least you look at yourself 2 years ago, you should be having more pleasure doing what you're doing. Not that you're still feeling the same way, you're still falling asleep on Mangalarti, your rounds are still, no, there should be at least a little improvement. So, and when we keep doing it, then yes, right, the sugar candy example, right, in the Upadeshamrita. That's, we're all sick. Sugar candy is the cure. The more you eat it, the more it becomes sweet. So that's what's going on. And then also realization of the Supreme Lord. That means we will start to, and this is basically, in my opinion, the real proof, in the sense that you start to really realize the knowledge. You will see clearly. You will understand sometimes that, yes, this is Krishna's energy. Of course, only the pure devotee is situated in full realization, but we are also into that spectrum. And, those realization will come in. And at one point, we'll start to feel, yes, the Lord is in the heart, and we'll start to feel some spiritual feelings, feelings of love, that something that we could not experience before. So it's completely new. So these things will start to manifest. They might not be very strong, but they'll be coming. And they'll be very much different from everything else. And when that comes, then we're certain that, yes, it cannot be wrong, because everything that is described in Shastra is starting to take place. Shastra describes, right, lifting of the hair on the body, shedding of tears. So at one point, such symptoms will start to manifest in one's body. So when that comes, then you cannot go back. You are certain that, yes, this is it. And so in this way, your faith will build up, because everything is based on faith. Why a Kanishta Adhikari has a hard time making progress? Because he doubts everything. Even though he's chanting Hare Krishna and all, he doubts Prabhupada. He's reading Prabhupada books, and I don't know. Well, the Madhyamadikari is almost freed of doubts. He still has. Even the Madhyamadikari still has doubts. And if you don't believe me, I'll pull out the quote where Prabhupada is saying this. The one who is freed from doubts is the Uttama. He has no more. He's 100% convinced of this. Okay, here. This is from a lecture. Okay, how will I be able to share this? Maybe in the chat, but I think this chat is kind of restricted. Yeah, I cannot put so much. How can I pull this? Okay, I know. Wait, I have the link. I'll just take it here. Okay, so here I'm sharing the tab. Okay, you can see that, right? Okay. Okay, someone else would like to read this? Or maybe I'll just read, since it's getting a bit late. So Kanishtadikari, Madhyamadikari, and Uttamadikari. There are 3 stages of devotees: lower class, middle class, and first class. The first class devotee is without any doubt. The third class devotee, he's accepting, here is God, that's all. But he has many doubts. The second class, although he has got doubts, he accepts on the authority of Vedas. So that is the difference. So the doubts are still there in the mind, even of a preacher, but because he knows that my rascal mind is a cheater, who's always putting some nonsense thoughts in my mind, I kick him out the way and I take my intelligence instead. And what is the intelligence saying? No, Veda is the authority, and okay, I accept. So that is second class. And the first class, he knows perfectly well, here is God, and that's it. That is where the distinction between the Uttama and the Madhyam is. What does that mean? The Uttama Adhikari sees the deity and he knows it's Krishna. The Madhyam doesn't know yet. The Madhyam Adhikari still has doubts whether the deity is a representation of Krishna or if it's Krishna directly. That is the Sarva Samshayaha, Chindyante. They are beyond all doubts. Yes, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, here is Krishna in the temple. Here is my Lord is standing. He has very kindly, mercifully, he has come to accept my service. That is first class devotee. Just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as soon as he saw Jagannath in the temple, immediately fainted. Here's my Lord. I was searching after. So you see, so even Madhyamadikari's got some doubts, because to see the deity and 100% knowing this is Krishna, this is the Uttamadikari. Not only this, to chant the holy name and to know that Krishna is not different from his name, that is Uttamadikari. Madhyamadikari doesn't have this realization yet. Although he shows much more respect to the deity and the holy name than the Kanishta Adhikari, because he's acting according to regulative principles, he knows how to act. Still, he doesn't have this realization that the Lord is standing there and that the Lord is manifested in his holy name. So everything is based on faith. But at least that faith should be increasing, and that's the proof that we're properly connected. So when we eat, what happens? One, we feel satisfaction. Finally, nice taste. And we feel satisfaction means we feel, okay, so relief from hunger, then satisfaction and pleasure. So these three things. Satisfaction meaning, nourishment. So you get strength. As soon as you eat, okay, you get strength, the pain of hunger diminishes, and tastes nice. You have these three things happening. So similarly, if we're advancing spiritually, we should lose that hunger for material hankering, that hunger of lust, that I want to enjoy my senses, that should be gone. That should be leaving. Then second, we should be getting strength. That means our devotion, or let's say, our realization of the Supreme Lord should be increasing. Our spiritual strength, our spiritual faith, that's our strength, right? And then pleasure, you're eating something nice, it tastes nice, pleasure. So devotion, we should be enjoying this devotional service. So these three things should be happening. So that is our, so Dimitri Prabhu is asking you, what does direct experience of the Lord mean? So that means realizing Krishna more and more, right? Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. We should be advancing in those stages, starting to realize, because Krishna says, earth, water, fire, air, ether are my 8 separate material energy. So we should start to understand that we're looking around this, wow, this is Krishna's energy. This actually emanated from the Lord. It was in the body of the Lord before. So you start to understand these things. You start to realize how the energy of the Lords are working, and you start to realize that he's in the heart more and more. So direct experience of the Supreme Lord, of course, it builds all the way to the direct, darshan of the Lord. Seeing the Lord, when will we see Krishna face to face? That is bhava. When one reaches the bhava platform, he will be able to see Krishna face to face. But that vision will not be like the devotee on the prema platform. Now, this is not my speculation. This is there in the Madhurya Kadambini, and also it's there, in the Bhagavatam, for example, Bharata Maharaj, right? He left his kingdom, he started to meditate, and he saw the Paramatma. So to see the form of the Lord as Paramatma, to see him in the heart of the heart, that is the Bhava stage. And he fell down from Bhava. So even Bhava is not 100%. But the Prema platform, then that is, you open your eyes and the Lord is standing in front of you face to face, and then he reciprocates. That is Prema. That is beyond anything I can speak on, definitely. But this is, what Sastra says, and this is what the Acharya is saying. So, so that's it, so that's what it means, direct realization of the Lord. You start to experience him more and more, because now we see material and we see, sometimes spiritual. Oh, the deity is spiritual, Srimad Bhagavatam is spiritual, but what is this material? Actually, it's illusion, it's Maya, it's covering us. We think it's matter. So because we think it's matter, therefore it is material. But a pure devotee doesn't see anything material. So that is experiencing the Lord more and more. You start to purify your existence, means spiritualize your existence. Prabhupada said the highest realization of Krishna consciousness is the giving up the material, what is that? What was the exact words? Giving up the materialistic conception of life. That means there's no more matter. You don't see anything material, the highest platform. So the more you see things as spiritual, the more you're realizing Krishna. And then again, as I said, because what is Brahman realization? We always say Brahman, Brahman, Brahman. What is this Brahman? It means that everything is spirit. Everything is conscious. That is Brahman realization. That, because within the atom, Krishna is there. Everything is Brahman. Therefore, Brahman is a living entity. Brahman is consciousness. So the consciousness of Krishna is everywhere. So Krishna's consciousness is everywhere around us. He's conscious of everything. He's there right next to us, looking at us. So if we can realize that everything is one huge spiritual consciousness, there's no actually differentiation. That is the Brahman realization. And then above that, the Lord is in the heart. Is actually a person that you can reciprocate with, knowing that He's there. But the reciprocation is very limited. And then in this way, one progresses to prema. Okay, it's almost 9:30. Maybe we can touch to something else, or maybe questions. Let me see if maybe I'll see some of you. Oh, you've shared a lot in the. I didn't take a look at the chat. I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, so Bhaktayapa shared Christians are almost Mayavadis. So Baba Bhuti is saying, just like they import ganja, they import Mayavad philosophy also in America. Yeah, all these books. Yeah, actually the Mayavad philosophy was started with Vivekananda, because I don't find in the Christian faith that they are Mayavadis. Their belief is service to God. Of course, they are somewhat Mayavadis. Correction, somewhat. Yeah, but this is Tamal Krishna who's saying that. It's not Prabhupada who's saying this. Because in the other conversation I was quoting from, he was talking to Dr. Patel. He was saying that it's borrowed from Vaishnavism, because it entails service to the Lord as a person. Of course, because they don't know who the Lord is, it's not perfect.
Yes, Prabhu. Even Bhaktivinoda Thakur has described about like how I think Dasyaras that like Jesus preached Dasyaras.
Yeah. Right. That's a fact, because there is Shanta and Dasya involved. Shanta means that they are accepting God is great. That is Shanta, neutral. And Dasya, it starts to render a little bit of service. Some prayers is there in Christianity, right? They try to worship the Lord. They sing about glories of Lord Jesus and so on. The only problem is that they don't know who God is, and therefore it's not perfect. You see, the story of Atri Muni? Atri, he did not know who the Supreme Lord was. So he was simply praying, I wish to have a son like the Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he did not know. So he was praying, and what happened is that Lord Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva all came in front of him. And then he said, of course he offered prayer. He was in ecstasy. And he said, my lords, I have prayed for the Supreme Lord to come. So who amongst you is the Supreme? So the three deities, they replied, they said, no, this is us. You've called us. So you see, when you don't know, your devotion is not perfect. So the three of them came and they said, we will expand as your son. So therefore Atri got three sons who were expansion of both. One was Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. So when they pray to God, their conception sometimes falls into Brahma. Sometimes it might be a bit more towards Vishnu. Sometimes it might be a bit more towards Shiva. But it's all blurred. They don't know. So therefore, it cannot be perfect. It cannot be pure. Okay, then another conversation. Karandar is saying, in the West, also in the past 10 years, there's been a resurgence of what's called fundamentalism. So for so long, the Christian liturgy, the Christian doctrine, got so hodgepodge and so wishy-washy that people were leaving because there was simply nothing there solid for them to grasp onto. Now fundamentalism, or the very basic principles that God is almighty and that we are sinners. And if we don't repent, God's going to strike us down with wrath and anger. That basic principle of fear of God that is receiving new support. Many people are coming back to that because even though it's a very vague thing, still it's something definite. God is there. And if I do something wrong, he's going to cut me down rather than, nothing's wrong, nothing's right. It's all hodgepodge with wash people can grab. Yeah, but here, Prabhupada, that is Mayavad. Nothing wrong, nothing right. Everything is all right. Vivekananda's philosophy. So Prabhupada is saying that philosophy is Mayavad. What is that? Nothing wrong, nothing right. That's Mayavad. But what he spoke, God-fearing, that's not Mayavad, because you're fearing an authority. Mayavad means there's no authority. So God-fearing is definitely better than being atheists. That's good, actually. And because they have no philosophy, that's how they were working, trying to control people, right? That, oh, you commit sin, you go to eternal hell, eternal fire. So people were scared. So at least there was some control happening, But Lord Jesus Christ was not so much onto that angle. He was preaching more and trying to love God. And that's why Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he became actually attracted to Lord Jesus Christ in the beginning. He said, this is actually more, this is better than what the caste brahmanas are preaching. So he was attracted to Lord Jesus Christ. Bhaktivinoda Thakur, in his life story, he's telling you, he was attracted to Lord Jesus Christ movement, but then he got turned down when he met some priests who told him that Adam and Eve were in heaven, they committed the original sin, and because of them, all of us have got to suffer. He was like, whoa, man, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense, Why? Because some two people committed some sins, some billions and trillions of living entities have to suffer for these guys? What is this? Doesn't make sense. Therefore, they cannot explain. They have this crazy story going on because they don't accept the laws of karma. They don't accept that we're eternal. That's another proof. Our philosophy makes sense. Okay, Himanshu Prabhu shared. Childhood is lost in play. Yeah, youth is lost by attachment to women. Old age passes away by thinking over many past things. Alas, hardly there is anyone who yearns to be lost in Parabrahman, Krishna. Yeah, Bhaja Govindam. So I believe you quoted that when I said young boys are thinking of playing, young men thinking of sex and then money. Yeah. Dimitri Prabhu. And on top of that, babies are still healthy because people like to say that without meat, you cannot live. Yeah. In China, they're so surprised when they see my son. My son he's taller than those Chinese. Of course, maybe because, me, but I see my camera is about to die from electricity. Anyway, I can pick up with the webcam. So they see my son, he's taller, he's got good skin and all, and they're like, what, he doesn't eat meat? And in China, they're very, Chinese people are maybe like 2 decades behind everyone and everything. When it comes to vegetarian, when you tell them vegetarian, they think, what, you eat some salad leaf and tomatoes, and they're like this, they really don't get it. At least vegetarianism in the West, everybody knows you have so much variety, and even the West is so limited. India is the real place, but you see, so they're astounded, how come he's not eating? And no eggs also. What? No eggs also? So yeah, they don't know, but it's a fact. Children are so much more healthier. This meat thing is and it stuffs your brain with they're all, meat eaters are very less intelligent. That's a fact. Like one devotee said, what is concerned to be abnormal in the past would be considered okay in 20 years, and we see how things change. Yeah. This is degradation, but they say, because they don't know there's 3 modes of material nature, right? They don't know that there's a standard and there's a low. So therefore they say, this is the new generation, what to do. They say like that, people are changing, it's normal. I was also, against my parents, and the teenagers are like this. That's what they say. That's teenage. That's not teenage. That's unwanted population. Your teenager is an unwanted child. You don't know about that. I know teenagers are like this. No, teenagers are not like that. If you bring a nice child and you raise him into Gurukul, just like if you see in Mayapur, the Gurukul, they've got the channel, right? The Mayapur Gurukul. You see the 7-year-old boy is managing a kitchen already, So he's being trained up, to manage things, and they're clean, they look very healthy, and so on and so forth. Of course, unfortunately, their leaders are not very well versed in the philosophy, but at least you see something is there. They're men of character. When they come out of that Gurukul, at least they're strict. So why are you saying teenagers are like this? In your fallen civilization, which is the proof that our Vedic culture is the best because you're opposed to it and you're the most fallen, yes, in that civilization, teenagers are like this. But in our civilization, teenagers are first-class men. As soon as they turn 15, they're first class. So that's another proof. Okay. Yes, Amy was saying my mother is married 4 times. My mother, of course, she had a very tough life, but somehow or other, all men became very much violent with her. Um, this is another long story. Now they're going against U.S. government for abortion laws. Yeah, this is it. But it's good. And Trump, of course, he's not a devotee, but Trump has got the head on his shoulder at least somehow a little bit. When that law was passed, Trump said this is God's arrangement. You see, so he's got some faith in God, and he said, "Yeah, this is God." So he knows that abortion is a sin, not like this other bicycle falling. You saw when he fell from the bicycle. This what is his name again? I always forget his
Joe
name.
Biden.
Biden. Yeah, he fell from the bicycle, right? You saw that. But he's a nonsense guy, He's a useless old man who forgets things, who shake hands in the air. Have you seen when he shook hand in the head? I don't know. He just finished his speech
Yes, Prabhu.
and he turned and he did
People
like that.
mock him a lot for that.
The man should be on a wheelchair in some hospital, and he's the president of the United States. Please.
Prabhu, there
Anyway,
was a summit apparently, some Earth summit or something, and then he was falling asleep.
yeah. Actually, he's a
He was
clown.
sitting on his chair and falling asleep.
The whole world is laughing at him. He's making. This is Kali Yoga. Some clown man is managing the most powerful country. Just see how dangerous that is. Anytime
Comedy
the
president.
crazy fella could say, okay, I declare war or I do this. He's been making mistakes after mistakes. Anyway, as soon as one is not a devotee of Krishna, he's gonna create mistakes. Even Donald Trump, although he's a little bit more pious, if we can say, he actually the devotees back in the days when Prabhupada was still there, they were building. I don't know when Prabhupada was still there. He's not that old, Donald Trump, but at one point the devotees they were building a Rath Yatra cart in a parking lot, which used to belong to Trump. And so the people managing the parking lot used to tell them, go away. Why are you building your cart here and like that? So they went. So somehow or other Trump learned about that, and Donald Trump said it's okay. These people are nice people. Let them build the cart. So just for this, to allow the build of Lord Jagannath's Rath Yatra cart, Donald Trump definitely got a lot of piety for that.
Oh,
So
this
that's
was a new thing, Prabhu. I
Ajnata
didn't know about.
Sukriti.
yes,
So he
Jai
was
Jagannath.
present at that time?
I don't think it was Prabhupada's time. I might be wrong, but definitely that happened. Yeah, the devotees, they were building a cart in that parking lot, and Trump allowed them to do that. So that is the real definition of Agyata Sukriti.
Yes,
That's the best
Prabhu.
thing he did in his whole life. And that's going to play, for him in his future life. Okay, Bhakta Subramanian, my college friends are all women hunters. Yeah, that's why we should run away from such friends. These are the most dangerous.
Definitely, Prabhu. Definitely.
This
So
is
whenever I
the
find some free time, whenever
boys
I find
who are
some free
so
time,
much addicted to girls are the worst. I experienced this myself. I was born, of course, in a devotee family, and then completely I went away. But in my teenage, I was still philosophically inclined. I was like reading, Plato, trying to read Socrates. I was reading Stephen Hawking, Einstein. I was still had some, desire to know. When I came to China and I associate with my brother, who is extremely lusty, his life is just this. He has no other goal in life. I forgot about all of this. I forgot about trying to inquire about life. I was completely lost. And this is when I became the most materialistic in my life, was associating with him. That is the worst, This associating with women and men addicted to women. These two things. We should not. And let me pull out the verse that is.
there is that verse that Yoshtam Sangi Sangha. That verse, right?
Um,
552.
no, yeah, that is Shabbadev. That's a very good one. But one that is even more heavy than that, and that's Lord Kapila Dev. Is it 329 or 330? Let me see. Of course, the dancing dogs in the hand of a woman. There's this one. Let me see. Special personality. Yeah. No, no, that is explanation. Okay, no. So it should be 330. Chapter. Yeah. Mm. Okay. Let me share this. No, this is the hell. Where is this?
Prabhu, Prahlad Prabhu had shared another verse with us. I don't know the number, it is, but it is in CC. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, no, that verse goes something like Nishkinchinasya Bhagavat Bhajanonmukasya Param Param Jigamishor Bhavasagrasya. That verse is also very significant.
Yes, yes. This is also like would be better to be in a cage, surrounded by fire. Is
So,
it the
no,
one you?
yeah, no, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says it is better to drink poison than
Yeah.
to than to associate with women and men who are fond of women.
Hmm. Okay. This is
Shall I read this, Prabhu?
329, 329:32. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes, Prabhu. If therefore the living entity again associates with the path of unrighteousness, influenced by sensually minded people engaged in the pursuit of sexual enjoyment and the gratification of the palate, he again goes to hell as before.
So sex and palate. So the genitals and the tongue. This is all it's about. Their life is only this: going to eat in a restaurant and enjoy sex. Okay.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol.
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
I'm sorry.
Continue.
Prabhu, my network. Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
yes, Prabhu. I'm sorry. He becomes devoid of truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, gravity, spiritual intelligence, shyness, austerity, fame, forgiveness, control of the mind, control of the senses, fortune, and all such opportunities.
Experienced all of this. I stuck to true all. I've never been really life until I started to try to become a devotee. Cleanliness, because if you enjoy sex life, you cannot stay clean. That's not possible. Uh, Then mercy, you lose mercy for the living entities. Gravity, a man who is lusty, you will recognize him, especially that he's not capable to be grave, to be serious. He will always be childish, speaking left and right, joking, always trying to take things very lightly, frivolously. He cannot be grave and have a proper conversation. Spiritual intelligence, of course, shyness. A man who's very much lustful, he won't be shy. He'll say anything and everything. He'll act like a dog, in front of others. Austerity, fame, forgiveness, control of the mind, of course, control of the senses. Uh, Once I was with my brother, we went to a hot spring. Of course, this is all nonsense, but in those days. And as we came in the hot spring, he saw two girls in a pool, and immediately he jumped in the pool, making big waves, to attract them, and you know, fully under the control of his senses, like a dog. A dog who see two she dogs will immediately jump in the water. Okay, next one.
Yes, Prabhu. One should not associate with a coarse fool who is bereft of the knowledge of self realization and who is no more than a dancing dog in the hands of a woman.
Yes.
Oh,
So
Krishna.
that's it. Sometimes we see some small dogs that girls have, like some Chihuahua or whatever. So these men who are too lusty, they will become like this because their goal is to always be with women. So this little dog, who is in the hand of a woman, he's happy to be there. So such men will become like this. So we should not be dancing dog in
Prabhu,
the hands of women. Yes.
Prabhu, what is the number of these verses again?
Okay. So
Just for my reference.
this is 30th chapter. 31st, sorry,
Three.
3. You see here at the bottom, 331, and then it starts from, so 331:32 onwards.
32
331,
onwards to 30, 32,
yeah.
33, 34, right, Prabhu?
A few verses, 34 is the dancing hands. Um,
Uh,
okay, you can read that small purport.
just one second, Prabhu.
Uh, Yes,
Yes.
Prabhu.
Prabhu, may I read this one?
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
The restriction of association with such foolish persons is especially meant for those who are in the line of advancement in Krishna consciousness. Advancement in Krishna consciousness involves developing the qualities of truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, gravity, intelligence, and spiritual knowledge, simplicity, material opulence, fame, forgiveness, and control of the mind and the senses. All these qualities are to be manifested with the progress of Krishna consciousness. But if one associates with a Shudra, a foolish person who is like a dancing dog in the hands of a woman, then he cannot make any progress. Lord Chaitanya has advised that any person who is engaged in Krishna consciousness and who desires to pass beyond material desires must not associate himself with women or with persons interested in material enjoyment. For a person seeking advancement in Krishna consciousness, such association is more dangerous than suicide.
Yeah, so we should not associate with women, not at all. When I started to learn Sanskrit, um, I had the choice. There was some women teacher, and I knew that no, no, no way. If I take a woman teacher, I'm alone with her on a video call, and forget about that. So definitely, I was seeking only a men teacher. Okay.
Yes, Prabhu. The infatuation and bondage which accrue to a man from attachment to any other object is not as complete as that resulting from attachment to a woman or to the fellowship of men who are fond of women.
Yeah, so I experienced that. I was attached to my brother. I was associating with my brother, and he was a man who is fond of women. And I could, all the bad qualities developed in me much more than before when I was with him. Uh, so women and men attached to women. Women is very, very contaminating. I can tell you that even me here, I am here in China, and they're all Matajis. And during devotional activities, we're doing the kirtans and this. That's fine. There's nothing wrong associating with with Matajis when they're doing service, because we're fixed. But outside service, because service is not going on 24 hours here, it's not that standard. And I'm not an exalted Vaishnavas that I can boost them all. They all are old and they have their own life. So when that happens after the program and all, they start their chit chatting. Wow, this is so bad. That's why I told you last time I have this. I just pluck my ears and because women they're less intelligent. The brain is not sharp. It's a fact. They will want to convince us so much that they're equal and this and that, but no. I've seen it. I mean, they've been reading the books for 10 years, 20 years, and still it doesn't click. There's just a barrier. They cannot cross over it. This is not. It's not that I'm trying to put them down. It's just what it is. The nature of a woman is just so conditioned in the mode of passion. The lust is so strong. They just cannot understand. And Prabhupada said it: 36 ounce of gray matter in a man's brain and 24 in a woman's brain. So he quoted that scientist who did that research, to say that women are less intelligent, and it's a fact. So we cannot be too hard with them also, because it's like a child. How much can a child do? If you no, you should do this, he's limited. Similarly, women are limited also. So but we have to be very, very careful not associate with them for any business, other than Krishna conscious business, or of course, maybe the family. But even family, that verse, right? One should not sit next to one's mother, one's sister, one's daughter. Huh? And then you might think, well, that might be a very, very low class man, that will have some sexual thought like this. And Prabhupada said in the class, no, 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 that verse speaks of a learned man. Even a learned man should not sit next to his daughter, his mother, his sister in a private. Just imagine how lust can be strong. That means that it's possible to have lusty thoughts, even for one's mother or one's daughter. How lust is. So women association must be avoided by all means.
So,
And if it cannot be,
you had mentioned before, right, that actually, I mean, I just wanted to share this thing. Actually, we observed a similar thing in Pondicherry Temple, right? There is one Shanti Mataji. She's like really old, and I mean, yeah, like whenever there's like service, Mataji does, she make garlands very nicely. She makes very beautiful garlands for the Lord, and she cooks very nicely. South Indian dishes, Mataji is an expert at cooking all South Indian dishes for the Lord, right? But then what I noticed is, as you had mentioned, like even outside of service, Mataji, she keeps on talking about family and what is going
Yeah.
on like this and
But
that
she
and
has
so many
no,
other
her
things.
husband is there? No, huh?
No, no, Prabhu.
That's
Mataji
it.
is in the temple on her own. Yes.
Yeah, so that's the thing, when women don't have husband, they cannot be controlled for
I think
their
she's a widow, Prabhu. I think she's a widow.
okay, yeah. So that's it, so therefore we have to be very much understanding, because a woman
Yes.
without a man, she just cannot, it's not possible. She won't be able to control herself and study Prabhupada books and chant nicely. It's not possible. Women who have got husband, they're capable to some extent to do these things because the husband is controlling them. For example, when the Matajis are all talking in the temple, blah 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 blah, I look at my wife. If I see that my wife is too much, I look at her and she understands that. Okay, I'm talking too much now, so she comes. So I'm controlling her. Of course, it's for her own good. And I see this
Yes.
with all married women. All married women are more sober, they're more calm, they're more spiritually advanced because they've got help. But women who are not controlled, because you see, my wife has got affection for me, so therefore I can have some control over her. But the other Matajis, they don't have this affection for me. So therefore, even though I'm telling them again and again that in the morning they should come and chant and they don't do these things. Why? Because they don't want to please me so much. So that pleasing factor, wanted to please a more advanced devotee, that's really the key. That's the key. And since they don't have this desire to please me because it's natural, I'm not their husband or anything or their son, so that doesn't come. They don't manage to get raised. But if a chaste woman follows her husband who's in the mode of goodness, she can also slowly rise. And my wife, she's good because, of course, not just my wife, all women that are chaste and married, but I only have this example, right? I don't have other examples so close. So she sees when the Mataji start to talk too much, she sees like, wow, they're so noisy. Or when they start to talk nonsense, like the other day, one of the Mataji was going to buy a phone. Okay. None of them understands anything about technology. They're like four aunties. And wow, they'll talk, hey, 5G, yeah, 4G. And they talk, 2, 3 hours because of that phone thing. And it was all nonsense, basically, what they were saying. 5G, well, you don't judge by 5G or 4G, first of all. And they were just talking and talking. So Prajalpa, they love Prajalpa, chit chatting, some gossiping, and they'll be talking about things that goes over their head, but they need to have something, to talk about, and it's just women nature. And unless a man comes in and hey, stop it, they won't be able to stop by themselves. They just cannot. So, with this Shanti Mataji, at least she's there in the temple. She's doing some, she has some service, the garland and all of this. Outside of the service, well, what can be done? At least she's doing something. At least she's
Yes.
there. That's what we have to focus on.
Yes.
In the beginning, I used to become very upset with the Matajis. I used to be angry. Oh, what are they doing? But Sunagopa Prabhu told me, look, Prabhu, they won't be able. That's their top. That's where they are, and that's it. So when he told me like this, I cannot expect too much from them. Then okay, what can I do? I'm not gonna break my head trying to achieve something that's impossible. So I should try to focus on their good side, right? So that's it. So they have got the roof. Okay. What other comments you have put here? Okay, I think degraded people how to. The thing is that okay, Dimitri Prabhu, the thing is that those degraded people think that it's okay. How to convince them that they're wrong? Well, first of all, they have to be gentlemen. So if someone is a gentleman, he can understand. If someone is a fool, we spoke about being shy, right? The problem is that now people are shameless. They have no shame. So how can you explain something to someone who's shameless? It's not possible. Just like try to explain a dog that it's shameless to lick his anus, in the street, or to go and smell the vagina of a she dog. How you can explain that to a dog? And they do these things. It's completely disgusting, but they do these things. The dogs, they have no shame. So similarly, dog-like man, they cannot be explained anything. So therefore, prashadam and chanting Hare Krishna loudly, that's all. That's their only chance. But if someone is actually a gentleman, if he has got a gentleman, means he can feel shame. You know, he can feel ashamed of himself. So if that happens, then is everything okay, Sami Prabhu? You seem to be concerned. Okay. All right. So that's it. So you cannot convince someone who's fully degraded, but a gentleman who's willing to hear, that's how we have to show them. Like Prabhupada was... Okay, I will be telling you one thing. Do you know where I got, the best training, or what helped me the most to preach? What do you think it is?
Brahmachari training in
Okay,
Singapore.
but brahmachari training has got so many things, right? You're doing so many activities. What is the one thing you think I did that, of course, it might be hard for you to find out, but what trained me up to preach, to try? Because preaching means you must be, especially in the West, you must be good in arguments. You must be good in logic, because they won't accept verses. India, when you pull out a verse, people will be like, well, at least it's in Sastra, but in the West, they'll say, well, what is this thing? Why you show me your religious book? So you have to be good in philosophical, in logic and arguments. So where did I learn? I'm not saying I'm a master, but the basis that I have, where do you think I got it? Silence, right? So I'm going to be sharing this with you, and I hope you can start doing this. Read Srila Prabhupada's Conversations and Morning Walk. That is what trained me. In the beginning, when I started to read, I was not actually reading Prabhupada's book so much. I was just reading. I read all of Prabhupada's Conversation and Morning Walks twice, all of them, because it's so easy to read. It's not like a book. A book, sometimes, there's a flow, right? And sometimes if you haven't been reading the book for a while, you kind of lose the flow, or and sometimes, especially the way, like I'm reading Bhagavatam, and what I do, I'm reading the whole Sanskrit, the word by word translation, because it's the first time that I'm going in a chronological order. So I want to be reading the whole thing. So it kind of not break the flow, but but the conversation of Prabhupada, it just goes so smooth. You can pull out this anytime from your phone and start reading. If you have 5 minutes, you just pull it out, and that's it. So by reading Prabhupada's debating, because his conversation, many times he's debating with his disciples. One of his disciples will take the part of a materialistic scientist, or he will play the part of a Mayavad, and Prabhupada defeats all of them through logic. He almost never quotes, because he's teaching his disciple how to defeat those atheist philosophers and so on. So by reading Prabhupada, and all the arguments that those atheists have got, or that those Mayavad have got, they come up in these conversations and these morning walks. They come up, and you see how Prabhupada is defeating. And then you're like, wow, Prabhupada is amazing. And then you remember that, and, and that sticks with you. So the next time you meet that argument, you just pull out the argument, and that's it. You win, So that's it. It's just like remembering the perfect chess move, and the next time you just do the same move, and that's it. So that's really what helped me the most. And after that, after reading Prabhupada, I was just repeating the same thing. Someone would come with that, I would repeat that, and it just works. It just flows nicely, because Prabhupada, the Acharya. So if you can have easy access on your phone to all conversations and morning walks, start reading those, and I can guarantee you'll become a good debater. So yes, that is a tip.
Thank you so much for the tip, Prabhu.
Um,
It certainly
Yes.
helps. Especially, Prabhu, many people, I mean, especially regarding the Ritvik system, preaching about Ritvik system, many people, they argue that, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur never instructed Prabhupada, that Prabhupada will become, Prabhupada could become a guru or whatever. He did not say to him directly. And then immediately I pull out, there's one conversation. October, I remember the date also. October 28, 1972 in Nairobi. Prabhupada had a conversation with an Indian gentleman that the gentleman asks, that since when did you become the leader of this Krishna consciousness movement? And then Prabhupada says, since my Guru Maharaj ordered me.
Yeah.
And then he goes into details. He's like, why you are like, I mean, say, no, exactly when, then Prabhupada says, why I should tell you all this?
Yeah, well, I
He
should
was
tell you,
asked,
is it such
why
a
I should tell
cheap
you all
thing
this?
that I have to discuss with you? Yeah, he said like that.
And then
So,
he
yeah,
mentions clearly, and a person can become a guru when he's ordered by his guru.
by his
That's
guru,
all.
that's all. Yeah, yeah. So this is a little bit different in the sense that then you're arguing with devotees, right? So it's
Yes.
not this in the conversations and the morning walks. Prabhupada is mostly arguing against the karmis, the materialistic scientists, especially. So that you learn to preach to karmis basically. Now to learn how to debate with devotees about the Ridvik system, how did I learn that? That was by making the Ridvik video. Because by making
Oh,
the Ridvik a bona fide system, His Grace Srila Gopal Prabhu is talking, right? Actually, Prabhu had asked me to make that video. He wanted to make a video done of him speaking. So I set up the camera and all, and I asked the questions. You don't hear me asking the question in that video. It's just him speaking, but I was asking the question and he was talking. Yeah. And then he asked me to put this together. But at that time I did not understand the Ridvik system. I was like, it was blank in my mind. So what I did, I started to read and read and read and read and study, and I was just doing this, day in day out, and it took me about a year to come up with that video, to finish it. But throughout that whole year, I had read so much about the Ridvik system and all the other arguments that then my understanding became sharp. So if you want to be sharp into this aspect, then you must make some work, meaning you must write articles on it, or you must make videos on it. You must do you must preach, because if you want to realize the knowledge, you must speak it up. you know so if you make an extensive work like this, whether it is a video or an article or a book or whatever it is, then you will come across so many arguments. Then you will know that, oh, this argument I can defeat, just like the argument that you said. Yes, Prabhupada mentions that, but not only that, because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur and Prabhupada's are different. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, even if you say he did not tell Prabhupada, like, you become next guru, okay, but the situation is not the same, because Prabhupada is giving us a system that we have to follow, but Bhaktisiddhanta does not give a system. So that's another point that you can get them with. And I mean, there's many points. But the more you read again and again, and take notes. That's another important thing. Take notes, because by taking notes, of course, if you remember verses, that's good, like sharp, like Talvavit Prabhu. Then you can remember and quote this, that. But one thing that escapes that is the conversations of Prabhupada, the letters of Srila Prabhupada. Then you cannot quote. You don't know where to find them. Tavavid Prabhu can find any verse and any purports. But then if you have to search something in conversations maybe, or in letters, it's harder to do this way. So of course you can do it sometimes. But if you have it in a safe place, it's very good, because for the Ridvik system of initiation, a lot of the proofs are there in the letters, in the conversations, in the morning walks, a lot of the instructions are found there. So anyway, and the more you read, the more you will start to see that, wow, just like today, I was rereading one of my notes on the Ridvik system. And Srila Prabhupada was asked by one reporter, are you planning to elect a leader after you? And Prabhupada said, no, but there's no need of one leader. He said, as other things can be managed, but by committee. So he said, this can also be managed. So I knew that part, I knew that many times I've read that. But then I continued reading, and I saw Prabhupada said, and within that committee, they could elect one man as a leader. And when I read that, I was like, whoa, this is new. I didn't read that before. So Prabhupada had this idea that the GBC would elect one man as a leader. But of course, that was before the July 9th letter. But still, it's something that makes you think. Prabhupada had this kind of idea that there would be one leader of the GBC still. So the most spiritually advanced person, would be the leader of the GBC. But then, the Ritvik system later came on. Because I can tell you that this whole issue of guru initiation, it's not as easy as it might seem to understand. There's a lot of intricacies, a lot. Just like at one point, there was one letter where Prabhupada says he's writing a letter, I believe, to one of his god brother. And he's saying, this young man has asked me if he could take initiation from you. And I said, yes. So Prabhupada has authorized a young man, I believe it might have been even someone who was coming as a disciple. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate. But he authorized a young man to take initiation from one of his god brother. So why did Prabhupada do that? So to start to understand all the intricacies of how Prabhupada acted, what is, Diksha, how does it come? Can we make it back to Godhead with a non-physical Diksha Guru? Do we need a physically present pure devotee Shiksha Guru? All these things, we start to sharpen our understanding more and more. So yeah, it takes time. I'm definitely far from understanding everything perfectly. But if I look back at where I started, yes, definitely I have sharpened my understanding a lot. So to take notes is also very good. Okay, NFT creators. This is Prabhu. What is your name?
Swapnil Prabhu.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't want to be disrespecting him. I'm just gonna be taking out his name here.
Swapnil
Yes,
Prabhu.
yes, Swapnil Prabhu. So he's saying law of karma took effect on him. Surely he will learn something or not. I believe you may be mentioning this in regard to saying the kid, the child, right? So law of karma is already there acting. It's just that it's not fully manifest. There's a time in childhood where the laws don't come in full force. That's why we don't see so much difference between children. They all look more or less the same. It's after that we see one child is going that way, one child is going this way. Okay, Manu, the several points of the proof presented here, very condensed and direct knowledge. The Vedas aparushaya, not made by demigods, man, or any being in material world. Yeah, demigods, they make also scriptures. Just like my mother now, she likes to read those angel books. It's a big thing in the West, angels. The angels telling you this, the angels telling you, and she's always telling me, oh, the angels are saying this. I say, Mom, your angels are conditioned souls. They're lusty also. Did you know that? And she doesn't like when I say that. But it's a fact. They're conditioned souls. They've got lust, they've got anger, they've got greed. It's all there also. Our lifestyle, how we live. Yeah, this is another proof. How we serve by the energy of Krishna. Higher cultural society. Yeah, that's a big one. I hope you noted that verse, right? That's a very heavy one. 4:2. What is it? It's a long purport, and at the end, Prabhupada says these people are actually a proof that the Vedic culture is right, because by their degraded qualities. Actually, those whole verses are nice because it speaks about the followers of Lord Shiva and how they become degraded if they imitate Lord Shiva. If they try to eat meat, or of course, Lord Shiva doesn't eat meat, but keeping long hair and smoking ganja because Lord Shiva drank poison. So anyway. Vedas are prophetic. Yes, so many prophecies are happening. Is there any more points that we may present to defeat opposing parties, and are you to go deeper on how to establish the authority of the Vedas to those in darkness? Yeah, so I think we've tried to cover. Of course, we could be expanding more, and I have a lot to learn on this topic also. But definitely, an intelligent person will accept. That's bottom line. An intelligent person will see. Because you've got university, you've got high school, and you've got kindergarten. So what is the difference? The difference is that whatever you learn in kindergarten is there in high school. 1 + 1 = 2. Whatever you learn in high school is there in high school. And whatever you learn in high school is there in university. So how do you make distinctions between university? It means university has got everything else that is found in previous stages, but it got something else. So that's what that nobody can match us on this. Whatever they have in their religion, like in whatever knowledge you get from the Bible or the Quran or whatever, we've got all this, but we've got much, 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 much more also. Just like I had a Muslim friend at one point, he was telling me that the Muslims, they believe in the judgment day, right? And they say that when you die, you will be resurrected at the time of judgment day, and that the whole creation would have lasted only one day. So when he said that, I said, yes, we know that universal days and night is the day of Lord Brahma and the nights of Lord Brahma, and it's a fact that if you are a perfect Christian, you go to Satyaloka where Lord Jesus Christ is still there. Prabhupada said that. And there, you further your spiritual advancement, you learn about Lord Krishna and so on. And when that day closes up, Lord Brahma, you go back with him to the spiritual world. Because the perfected beings of Satyaloka, they will merge into the body of Brahma. And when Brahma becomes liberated, they go back to the spiritual world with him. You see? So when he said that, I immediately split. So you see, we englobe all their knowledge. It's all there. Just like they said, the time of death, you go in front of a judge. Yeah, we know his name. You know what he looks like. He's riding a bull. We know that he's got some attendants, the Yamadutas. So we know all of this. Hell, yes. Do you know how many hells are there? We have the numbers. We have proper descriptions. We know the planets. So whatever they're coming up with, we know kindergarten. Okay, but we are the university. We've got much, much more. They're not ready to speak about the Lord is a person. You've got relationship with him in 5 different rasas, and wow, they're not. They're God-fearing people, most of them, especially Muslims. They're God-fearing. They cannot. The Quran is made in a way to make you shake. When you think of God, because it's simply this. Destroying you. If you don't listen, you'll be destroyed. Destroy. So how you can love God when all you read about him is how he destroys people? Okay. Thanks for taking notes, Manu Prabhu. Yes, honestly, Prabhu, I need these notes. I pray to strengthen my faith and fortitude by the mercy of Shaprabhupada and devotees. Yes, very nice example. Very nice attitude, Manu Prabhu. Ayappa Prabhu is saying, what doesn't it sound when one is a trans, homosexual or something? How could we preach to them? Well, homosexual, trans, all these are words, but the basic principle is that lust is stronger. That's all. Why does one becomes attracted to the same sex? Is because lust is so strong that it's going everywhere. He's thinking now I will take to the same sex to try to satisfy. So therefore, it's something like preaching to a woman. Women's lust is also very strong, So therefore, with homosexual, in my experience, I see that homosexual are also less intelligent. Most of the time, that's what I've seen. But it's the same thing basically. No illicit sex. That's all. It's not that our sex is good and their sex is bad. Of course, their sex is horrible. It's bad. But our sex is also bad to a lesser degree, but it's still bad. So they have to follow the principles also. And because they feel attraction for men, to live in the ashram is not convenient for them. Would you live in a place with 50 women? Please. How you can make spiritual advancement? So for homosexual to live in the ashram would be very, very hard in my experience. I know of a homosexual who lived in a ISKCON temple in Montreal. And at one point, he was starting to ask every Prabhus if they wanted massage, So you see how it turned. And he was giving massage to everybody. So how he can become fixed in spiritual life if he's touching bodies that is making him excited. So for homosexual, maybe it's better they live near the temple, not in the ashram. But they're not barred from. Nobody is barred from coming to Krishna. No one. Krishna says you can be considered the most sinful of all sinners if you're properly situated in your determination. You're a saint. So even though you might be doing the most disgusting thing, if you're serious about your spiritual life, doesn't matter. That will go away one day, So there's no one that is blocked from coming to Krishna. No one. Everybody has got a chance. But it's up to the person. Does that person want or not? That is the thing. So that's it. You don't, homosexual are frustrated because for example, Christian will say you're all demons, you're going to hell and all. So we should not make them feel that God doesn't love them also. That's not the way. We should not exclude them. We include them with us. Yes, you're with us. We all don't do illicit sex. Are you with us or not? And this way, then you'll be like, okay, I have to stop doing this illicit sex too. But if you just say your illicit sex and my sex is okay, then they'll feel, that's not bad. So you have to tell them, yes, even us married couple, we have to try to be completely free from sex, So then they'll be okay, then you're not, to me, singling me out, Okay, Prabhu, could you please share Kali Santanana Upanishad in Telegram chat? Yes. Okay, you do it. I'll send it to you here on. Okay,
Yes,
Bhaktaji
Prabhu, I'll
Machu, I'm sending it to you on WhatsApp here, and then you share it to them. Because,
yes, Prabhu.
yeah. Okay, here it is. I've sent it to you. You can share it. Send it in the. It's sending.
Yes,
Now.
Prabhu, I will share.
Okay. Dimitri Prabhu says, yes, Narayani Mataji is single and she's thinking of leaving our association, and Rajendranandana Prabhu doesn't know what to do. So I advise him to contact you because you have experience dealing with Matajis on a daily basis. I'm a bit sad to hear this because Narayani Mataji, she's always listening to the classes and she seems very much enthusiastic, you see. That's unfortunate. The thing is that women, they require protection, and they should live under the protection of some men somehow or other. Prabhupada's solution for women in our movement that are not married is that the leader should arrange for a kind of convent. The Christians, nuns, they have something called a convent. Am I pronouncing this right?
Convent, right?
Covenant.
Convent, convent.
Convent, yeah, okay. So they have a convent where the nuns live there and they receive protection from the church. So similarly, we should also have some sort of arrangement so that the Matajis can live there and receive guidance from Prabhus. Because if a Mataji is somewhere on her own, the mind goes left and right. Even though they read Prabhupada's books every day, the mind would say this and this and this, and they cannot be fixed. So she should somehow be brought near. I'll talk to Prabhu, to Rajendrananda Prabhu concerning this. Okay. Sorry, it's 10:17. Okay, Swapnil is saying the self-realization book has a lot of Srila Prabhupada conversation. Yes, Science of Self-Realization, or is a very good book also. You can read it again and again. Also, it helps a lot. And when I read it, he is actually defeating, like you said, Prabhuji. Yes. So that's the specialty of Prabhupada's conversation, is that he's defeating. In Prabhupada's books also, you can find some arguments here and there, but it's more the philosophy, defeat. Just like now we saw that verse where Prabhupada was saying they are actually the proof that Vedic principle is correct, because they're degraded. You can see they're not taking to Vedic culture and therefore they're degraded. So indirectly, they're the proof that Vedic culture is correct. So that's a good argument, but it's hard to find in Prabhupada's books. Generally, he's teaching us, he's trying to convince us of the philosophy more than trying to teach us how to preach.
So, Prabhu, where to find all those conversations compiled?
Well, it's there, you can go on prabhupadabooks.com. It's all there. Or you go on,
yeah.
I used to read on Prabhupada Vani. Yeah, perfect question, perfect answer is also a good one.
Yeah, this was my first book, Prabhu.
Yeah,
this book I came.
Yeah, because these are some of the basic questions that most people will come up with, that devotee, he asked a lot of them, but yeah, me in the beginning, what I used to do, I used to go on my phone on Prabhupada Vani, and then I manually saved all conversation on my Pocket app. Pocket? Pocket is an app where you can save some articles or web page. It becomes a sort of PDF like file in your thing. It's not really a PDF, but anyway, I did not know in the beginning of let's say Veda Base or whatever. So I had all of them saved, but I manually did that with each single conversation. So
Hari Bol.
I can recommend this to you, but try to find a way somehow or other to have all those conversations at the tip of a finger. Very easily accessible. I know they're here. Yeah, I think the best thing would just buy the book. Yeah, because for okay, this is for iOS. Books. Here you have this that's Bhagavatam, but you see here conversations. So if you just do this, the only bad thing I don't like about this is that it's hard to navigate because when you oh, it's not showing up. Okay, it unloaded it anyway. It's hard to navigate, but you don't really need to navigate. You just read. It starts from the first conversation ever recorded, and then you just go chronologically, and you read, 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 read. So you don't really need to navigate, and you can actually buy this EPUB. It's an EPUB file. Try
Yes,
to
I have
type.
that file.
Oh, you have
I
that
have that
file.
file.
Okay, you
Yes,
share with
sir.
them.
Oh, yes,
You send.
definitely, Prabhu. This one and letters also separately I have. So I will
Good,
send both
good.
of these.
Yeah, send the
Thank you.
EPUB file. All you need to do is to download an app on your phone, Android or whatever that reads EPUB, and then you'll be good to go. You see, this is where I am now. So I just picked up from there. So navigation, and this one is not. This is how it's separated. So I mean, it's a huge, crazy list. You cannot really, I mean, to say, do some. Specific search, but I don't care because I just read in chronological order and I'll read all of them like a third time. So yeah. Okay. All right. Ayapa Manu, waiting for you. We all call Dimitri Prabhu. Some people say that Prabhupada's letters are not sastra, just like the rascal Igor who debated with David Prabhu on WhatsApp. Should we even counter argue this, or should we not waste time on such foolish people? My point, don't waste time on such foolish people. That's my, there's so many sincere people out there that need to be helped, need to be guided. Let's focus on them. My list on Facebook of blocked users must be like at least 200. My list on YouTube of in my comment section I can press hide user from channel. That means nobody will ever be able to see his comments anymore. It must be also like a couple hundred. As soon as I see a rascal, I just block him. That's all. I don't even argue. There's no time to waste. And Prabhupada's letter are not sastra. That's in the sense, of course, Prabhupada's letters are also absolute, but they are according to time, place, and circumstances. Some letter you'll find Prabhupada says this, the other letter you'll find the opposite. True, literally. Like to some devotee, you'll say, yes, start a restaurant. That's very good. You can put a reading room there with all my books displayed. You can put some soft bhajan, this and that. Another letter, why you want to waste your time with restaurant? This is not our business. Prasadam distribution can be made from the temple directly. What do you do? So, you need to understand, sometimes a devotee is not surrendered enough to take the preaching life directly. So Prabhupada, somehow or other, at least if you have a restaurant, you'll be able to get some income from the society and so on. But someone who's a preacher, who's a fired up, straightforward, he should not waste his time with opening restaurants. So in this way, you need to know a bit Prabhupada. You need to know the philosophy to understand Prabhupada's letters. It's true that you cannot just take out a letter and say, you see, it's not like that. You have to know, why Prabhupada is saying this. Okay, Prabhu is now standing in the top of the hill and seeing. I don't know what is Ayappa Prabhu saying here on the top of the hill. Anyway, okay,
Prabhu,
4231. Yeah, that's the verse.
I wish to explain about this, Prabhu. For example, you have been done a lot of research, to make one video.
Okay.
So you just ran all over the plain, and you have climbed the hill so much with all hurdles, and now you are standing in the hill and you are watching everything.
Well, I don't think I'm on the top of the hill. I'm definitely very low, but I can see at least where I used to be. I can see that point. Yes, that I can see. I'm higher than the beginning, but the top of the hill is definitely very high, Prabhu. But thank you for your appreciation. Okay, people try to copy Lord Shiva, but not completely, because when you ask them, then if he had all those things, then why don't you try consuming poison where he consumed during the Samudra Manthan? As well as they say no because they don't want to die. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they'll copy the best part. They say Shiva smoked ganja, so I'll smoke ganja. They'll copy what they like, but what Lord Shiva does that they cannot, that they won't do. It's just the same thing as Rasa Lila. I'll copy Rasa Lila. All right, now you lift this 7-ton rock, please. No, that next time. Okay, Dimitri
Prabhu,
Prabhu.
does
Bhagavad-
really Lord Shiva took ganja? I don't think.
I don't know. I'm not sure about that. But even if he took ganja, he's Lord Shiva. The ganja would become purified in
Yes,
his
Prabhu.
mouth.
Yes, Prabhu.
But I don't find any reference to this. But I know that Prabhupada did mention something. But my memory is failing here, so I don't want to be speculating. Take practical example. We are Krishna conscious now. Take any religion and take their highest conclusion. It is then Krishna consciousness. Yeah. Take, for example, Buddhism. They say non-violence. Oh, we are non-violent. Christianism, love of God. Oh, we are simply meant for loving God. Mohammedan, servant of God to render service to God. We are 24 engaged in service. Yes. Samadhi, always in samadhi, absorbed in thought of the Supreme. We're always absorbed in thought of Krishna. So take any religion, any process, any will. This river, Krishna consciousness, will overflood everyone. Yeah. So actually, I remember that conversation. That's very good. Not conversation, lecture. That's a very good quote. But in Bhagavad Gita itself, I believe even in the introduction, I think it's there. Prabhupada is saying Krishna consciousness. In the Bhagavad Gita, you'll find what is there in all other scriptures, but you'll find some extra knowledge also. I believe it's there in the introduction itself. Yes, okay, Ayappa. Yes, but the other religious people make these people very sinners, demons, etc. Even though Jesus said that he's against sin and not sinner. Well, there's a lot of, if it can happen in our movement, which is the purest, which is the highest, then of course it can happen in their religion too, right? I mean, deviating from the original Acharya, that's gonna always be there, especially in Kali Yoga. Life comes from life is good conversation with Dr. Singh, right? Yeah. Where do we have any example that life came from matter? Anytime it happened, did we ever see that from rock? A fish came out or whatever, a living entity came out? Never. But every day we have billions of examples that babies come from life, right? So that is there. And also the evolution theory. All species are there. You're saying that this species grows into that species. But why is that lower species not evolving anymore? I don't see, we have 3,000 years of recorded history. Where is that monkey in any part of the world that is starting to change now? Are you seeing one monkey that is starting to lose his hair? How many monkeys on the planet do you think? Some millions, right? Show me that one monkey that is starting to change from the other monkey. Where is the evolution? Why has it stopped? No, it happened before. No, you rascal. It's supposed to keep happening because you're supposed to keep adapting. I'm not adapted to cold. Why am I not, growing another skin where I can, live in cold? They're saying that adaptation happens because of the environment. Well, I feel very much not adapted to, minus 40 degrees. Sami Prabhu knows. So why is he not evolving? Why is Sami Prabhu looking the same and all his grandfathers and all that? Why aren't they, growing some thick skin or something? It's all bogus, Dimitri, I use a Kai Book 3 on iOS. It's good to find something in a book and easy to use. All my books are stored there. Kai Book 3 is an application, Prabhu. If it's an application, I might switch to that because I actually don't like that Apple Book one. If you want to be saving a quote, it doesn't even grab the whole quote. If you save a paragraph, it'll maybe just let you copy like 5 sentences. So it's really bad. So if it's an application, Kai Book 3, I will maybe give it a go. And before I forget, sorry, I'll just type it in the application. Sami Prabhu. Prabhu, what was the app called? I want a conversation like that too. You want to be saving them all one by one? Are you sure about that? Oh, okay. It's called Pocket. Is it Pocket? Yeah, Pocket. Okay, Kai Book 3 ebook reader. Okay, yeah. So it's an app. Kai Book 3 ebook. All right, I'm downloading it.
On the Hare Krishna Rig channel. I mean the Telegram group. In fact, I got EPUB files of conversation, lectures, and letters. So I
Very
uploaded
good.
all of them. Yes,
Yeah,
Prabhu.
thank you for sharing. So yeah, just get this. I think Sami Prabhu, you just get one of those ebook reader app, and then you just get those EPUB files and you're good to go. Okay. Dimitri, yes, in introduction is there. Okay, yeah, what I said. So Imanshu, Hare Krishna Challenge book is also a nice book based on defeating scientists. Challenge book? Oh, Hare Krishna Challenge. Yeah, Hare Krishna Challenge. Yes, yes. Where you see Lord Kalki holding the sword. Yeah, that's a good book. It smashes modern civilization. Jesus also said, hate the sin and not the sinner, right? So you see, Jesus was a Vaishnav. Actually, he spent time in Jagannath Puri, right? He lived there in Jagannath Puri. He even saw the Rath Yatra procession, Prabhupada says. He saw the Rath Yatra procession, So he's a devotee of Lord Jagannath. Okay, God clearly states that he is not glad when the wicked die. That reveals he loves the wicked, but he still hates their sin. He wants the wicked to turn away from their sin. This is a great lesson for everyone that we are to hate sin, including the sin in our own lives, and love everyone. We can take great comfort and joy that God loves us and the wicked too. Yeah, just see. There's a verse in Bhagavad Gita that says that, right? The Lord doesn't, what is the exact word? You see, the Lord doesn't see anyone sinful or pious. The conditioned souls, on the other hand, are bewildered. So Krishna doesn't see that here's a sinful man, here's a pious man. He doesn't see like that. But still, he will discriminate for our own good. But his vision is not like this. So you see, so definitely there's a lot of real instructions in the Bible. The problem is that there's a lot of mental speculation also. Okay. By the way, Raj Prabhu made to temple. Raj Prabhu made to the temple in. I guess you're talking about the
Yes,
Puducherry, right?
Balasore,
Oh, Balasore. He went to
near
Balasore.
Puri. Yeah,
Yeah.
Odisha.
Hare Krishna Nimai Prabhu, you spoke on how you cannot cherry pick Prabhupada letters without understanding why Prabhupada said what he said. How should one approach Shri Prabhupada's letters when we dive deep into them? No, you read them and you'll get the hang of it. You'll understand after some time. But like I said, if you're not sure, don't take anything as completely fixed in cement. You can take some letters, but the more you read, the more you start to understand. And if you're not sure, you can ask other devotees. Dimitri, unfortunately, we don't have Hare Krishna challenge in Russian, and I can find PDF in English as well. Well, I think you got some service ahead, Prabhu. You got to translate that.
Uh,
Dimitri Prabhu,
yeah.
I have the English book. I could scan the book and send it to you if you want.
Yes, Prabhu. I also have English book.
Yeah. You send the book to him. Let Bhakta Dimitri translate this in his free time, and then give it to Vrajendra Nandana Prabhu. He can print that. They print a lot of books. That would be a good book to print. And it's a small book. It wouldn't take you too long to translate. All right, I think that's it. We've been here 3 hours. So
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I think it's already late for you, bro.
yes, that's okay, no problem. But I think we've wrapped our head around everything so far. So I hope you've all learned something today. I've definitely learned something, and I've enjoyed the
Hare
talk.
Krishna, thank you so much, Prabhu.
So thank you very much. Vanchakalpatarubhischa, Kripa Sindhu Bevacha, Titanam Pavanebhyo,
Vaibhyacha Paritanam
Vaishnaverbhyo Namaha.
Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo.
Anantapati Vaishnavrind ki jai.
Jai.
Jai
Jai.
Jai.
Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bo.
Ego.
One more thing. How about one of you keeps in touch with Swapnil, Bhakna Swapnil. I'll give you the contacts of some of these devotees that you're seeing here, and at one point maybe we can even add you into the Hare Krishna League.
Prabhu, what about that guy in that Ujjain, Prabhu? You said you share any contact now, Prabhu? Who is he, Prabhu? Ujjain.
Yeah. I'll talk to you. Recently, I've been contacting a lot of new bhaktas and also. But thank you, Bhakta Swapnil, for joining, and we hope that you can join, future sessions also, and we keep it in touch on WhatsApp. Okay. All right.
Thank
Hare
you so much,
Krishna.
Prabhu. Thank you so much.
Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
Okay.
Hari Hari Bo.
Bol.